my kid gets shot out of the vagina, right? First thing he's getting put in his hands, he ain't getting wiped off. He's getting a PlayStation controller, and he's getting to play Dark Souls 3. And we'll see how far he makes it. And then every time he loses, I'm going to put on the wall. We're going to have a tally. It's going to be the you died sign, right? And then every time he dies, I'll put a tally, and he'll get one spanking on the bottom, right? And every time he gets in another tally, it's 2 spankings, right? So it gets bigger, right? Third tally, 3 spankings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my child and make them into an esports god. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thought Patrol podcast. Your 2 fearless hosts for this week are Kyle and Shawn. We landed military base, ran for 45 minutes with a vector and no gear, and proceeded to get headshot simultaneously by another group hiding by trees 300 meters away. After a quick uninstall, we are here to talk about the recent rise of Battle Royale games in the market. So Shawn, you have joined me through Discord. How are you doing this week? How's everything going with you?
Yeah, life is, it's alive.
Nice. That's all we could hope for.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still breathing, so that's a huge bonus.
That's a plus. I think that's... Some people couldn't even wish for that this morning. And I know that kind of sounds fucked up and sad, but hey. It's true, man. Some people didn't wake up this morning. That's a shitty thought. So I'm glad that you're here with me. I'm glad that you did wake up this morning so you could do the podcast and I wouldn't be by myself tonight. And it's also weird to think about that. I mean, we would probably figure it out, but like for someone that was tuning in, right? The podcast would just kind of stop if like we died or something, and then people would just think that we stopped doing it, kind of, or something like that, or that we fell off the face of the earth or something.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of sad. Okay, now that we've dropped the mood down a bunch, so I'm glad you're doing well. What you been doing in games?
How are you doing? 14 and Monster Hunter.
Nice. I'm glad that you did pick up Monster Hunter. What do you think? Because we talked about it last week. Because there was weird scheduling issues, so we had to do the podcast Monday night. What are your thoughts with Monster Hunter being like new to the series, kind of?
I like it. It's addictive, and it does that whole like feed the loot hunger thing.
Yeah, like a little carrot on a stick, kind of running after it. Yeah.
I'm not like in love with it like some people are, but I can see the attraction.
Yeah, I think it does a good job refining like a decent grind system. It gives you something to run for all the time, kind of, and I think it does a better job at that than like Destiny does. Although a lot of people like to compare anything that has loot in it and can be played with another person, everyone compares it to Destiny. Just as if something's like pseudo difficult, everyone says it's the Dark Souls of platforming, the Dark Souls of FPS games, the Dark Souls of Dark Souls. Just like they just like to compare Dark Souls to fucking everything, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, kind of anything has a loot base. Oh Jesus, smack my tail. Anything has like loot based multiplayer elements to it. Boom, it's compared to Destiny. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, but I've been a huge fan of the series for a long time. I'm glad that this version of the game that we got is a decent one. I think I'm about probably like 46, 47 hours in and still enjoying it. And I like that it's probably because it's back and it's new and it's here again that it's got me excited. But like, I'll be happy to go with anyone and run through a lower level mission with them, even if the stuff I'll be getting isn't necessarily helpful for me. Although sometimes you'll always like kind of run across something that can help you in one way or another. And even then I could just sell all the stuff I get that's lower level and make money that way. But there's always like an incentive to help your friends, even if you can't like share items with each other or stuff like that. You can still push everyone through their missions and help everyone out that way, which I think is fun. It definitely shines playing with other people. If you got a whole group of friends that all pick it up and everyone sits down and hunts monsters together, that's when like you kind of get like the craziness that comes as a part of everyone trying to kill this big ass monster and stuff. So I think that's fun.
That's the best part.
Yeah, I think I do think that's where it shines. Even though it can be fun if you play by yourself, I think if you have a full group of friends and everyone working together, everyone kind of progressing towards their own goals and kind of building a team and working together, like some people building like support items or focusing on elements and shit like that, that's where a lot of the fun comes from. And speaking of Monster Hunter, this week we've been playing, I know we play with you when we get the time, but we've also been playing with Funny Guy from the community and his friend John. And Funny Guy is Marshall, so if I refer to him as Marshall, then you know who I'm talking about. But both awesome dudes. Loved hanging out with them this week. Loved playing games with them. It was me, Hector, Marshall, and John. And we all sat down and played together and just kind of hanging out in Monster Hunter, doing things, helping each other out. Definitely a blast. Again, having a team of 4 is so much fucking fun in that game. And just kind of running around, everyone messing around, joking with each other and stuff. It was really cool. So I definitely enjoyed that. On top of that, for games, I'm thinking, now we talked about Monster Hunter. Another big thing we recently, me and Tyler, not the Tyler that's been on, but another Tyler, we sat down and did a stream for Hunt, played through Hunt Showdown, which is kind of a new game being made by Crytek. It's in its alpha stages currently, and it's kind of like a mix between PUBG and Monster Hunter in a way, where you get a group of people dropped on a map, and they're all working together, or, well, it's technically, it's 1 or 2 people, and you work together to hunt a monster. You, like, find clues, and they're somewhere on this big map, and you have to get to them, but you're also fighting against other people trying to do the same thing. So you're working with your teammate to capture this monster, bring him back, and claim the bounty on it, so you get a shitload of money and experience, so you could, in tune, get better gear and stuff like that for your characters. But so we've been playing that, played a couple rounds for a stream one night, and a fun game, really fun. I like, one thing that the game does very well is it nails that atmosphere. It's a very fucking spooky game, even playing with another person. And that idea, I love the idea of a kind of like a cooperative horror experience. I always thought that was a cool idea, although that's really hard to do because like horror is very like, it's like tuned to like the singular like person, because like with jump scares and things that build atmosphere, it's really hard to do that and have the effect land on both people experiencing it of like an equal value, kind of, because a lot of horror is like scripted events, and it makes it difficult if you have 2 people running around instead of 1 person walking through an area. But I think the game does a very good job of landing that atmospheric, spooky vibe, especially at night. The game is terrifying. If you want to check out the video, we did take the stream and I cut it down into like a 20-minute video, threw it up on the YouTube channel, so it's up there to see, and you could kind of see what the game's like and stuff like that. So we have it up there. Very fun game, though. I like the idea of it. The only problem I have is the fact that with the monster, you can have a group get really far ahead of everyone else and then just go camp the spot of the monster, because the spot's the same for everyone. So what they can do is they could get there early, just sprint over there, beat everyone else over there, and just camp out. Wait for people to show up, and then just fucking annihilate them as they're running up to try and get the monster. And that happened to us, actually, in the video. We were just walking up, and Tyler was ahead of me, and he just gets fucking domed. I hear 1 bullet, and he goes down. I'm like, oh shit! And I like back off, and I'm hiding in the bushes, and I'm looking for the dudes, and I see one dude with his gun sticking out of a window. Again, middle of the night. It's very difficult to see other people in this game, and he's just like chilling out, like in this tower. And I hit him once and back off, and I had like zombies on my ass because there was noise, so all the zombies were like flooding the area. And so I had to back up, and Tyler's like, oh, you can pick me up. And I ran over to go pick him up. And then I get headshot, and I go down. And then Tyler gets swamped by the zombies that were on my ass, and then he gets killed. So just hectic, but it's really cool what you can like run into, especially like in this kind of sandbox environment, and everyone trying to capture this monster. So it was cool. Again, you could see all that on the YouTube channel. We put all that up there. Or you can even check the Twitch VOD if you want to see the entire thing. I don't know how long it's up, but that was recently, like a couple days ago. So it should still be up there if you go to look on Twitch and check it out. I'm thinking. So I enjoyed playing with Marshall. Talked about Monster Hunter. Talked about Hunt. Again, playing a little bit of Final Fantasy here and there. Like, my soul was destroyed when I eventually I'll get back to it, but I was building my tank, and then I talked about it before, but I lost like 20 levels of progress because they dropped me to level 30 when I got my new class. So that kind of made me sad, but I still do enjoy the game, and I do want to get back into it. It's just there's a lot going on right now, and I'm definitely down to get back into playing it. And I'll probably pick a day that I'm off and just sit down and just play Final Fantasy all day and try and catch up, get my Black Knight, I think it is Dark Knight, something like that, up to 50 again, which is going to be a bitch, but it will get done. It'll get done. I just have to sit down and do it. And we also had a couple more people join the Discord, which is pretty cool. It's very awesome hearing from you guys. And who was it? I apologize. I'm looking up in the Discord. Emperor Frankie. I was talking to him earlier. He found us on Spotify, which is awesome. If any of you guys are listening to us on Spotify, I would love to hear, because I don't know, because I know Spotify's big for podcasting, but I don't know how big like our influence is, because we're not big enough to be pulling like statistics on our podcasts. But so I don't know how big this influence is, but the fact that some of you guys are coming over and joining the Discord to say hi, it's really awesome. Love talking to you guys, hearing from you guys, and just getting in conversation. That's like my favorite part of what we do here. It gives us a reason to hang out with each other every week, even if our weeks were shit and full of busyness. But on top of that, we get to have communication and just like discussions with you guys out there, see what you guys like, games you play, things that you're enjoying and stuff like that. And I think that's my favorite part of this. So also the fact I get to see Shawn every week, and we get to make sensual love making with our words.
Mouth noises.
Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. Sensual mouth noises. Those are the best.
So I'm thinking more shout outs. Shout out to Aaron. I don't know if we did it. I remember I really have a big feeling that we did it, but Shawn said that he might have not heard it. But another shout out to you, Aaron, for checking us out. And just all you guys that come by and say hi. We really appreciate it. I can't explain how awesome it is, even if we're still small and stuff like that, but just getting able to hear from you guys, it's really cool. It definitely feels awesome. This is something that fucking Dungeon
Aaron
Pop.
Is the beautiful haired badass that we love.
And because this is something that at least my group of friends that we had in high school, we've been talking about doing this forever. And something like this, putting just our experiences on YouTube, and then the idea of podcasts crossed my mind, and I thought that'd be cool. And the fact that we're seeing some kind of fruits being created from this, even if they're small, it's just so cool to hear from you guys, and the way that the internet can connect us together and stuff. It's really awesome. So super excited to be moving forward and continue this. It's cool. Episode 40, guys. Hell yeah. That's crazy. We're 10 weeks away from our anniversary episode, which I'm going to try and do something special for that. So
anal sex.
Hell yeah.
Alright, giggity.
Yeah. That'd be quite an experience. I'm thinking, what else? Did I do anything else? Play a little bit of Siege here and there. Excited for the new Outbreak event coming out. The cooperative zombie mode that they're doing, and seeing the first two operators of year 3. It's got me excited. Also, if you guys ever want to hang out or play a game, feel free to hit us up. The easiest way is Discord. I check Discord all the time. I have it on my phone. I could see if anyone ever messages me. But we're playing Monster Hunter, doing stuff like that. Super fun stuff. I have a PlayStation, PC, all that shit like that. So if you're on Xbox though, you're shit out of luck there. Because I thought
they got it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, I'm just saying to play together though. Like they'll have Monster Hunter, but we can't play together, sadly. Movies. I'm thinking, did I see anything in movies? Not really. I watched the Cloverfield Paradox, which was all right. I mean, I think my whole experience with the entire Cloverfield franchise of films have been kind of. Not really super excited, but I'll still watch them kind of. But I like the Paradox. It answered some questions, and there's still some to be explained kind of moving forward. I don't know if they'll continue this series. But it's interesting how all these films that come out that are eventually get tied to Cloverfield originally weren't destined for Cloverfield. It's really interesting because the Cloverfield Lane originally wasn't intended to be a Cloverfield film, and then it became one through its it being made. And the same thing happened with Cloverfield Paradox. It was not originally intended to be a movie about Cloverfield, and then they made it one, which I always thought is so weird. But I like movies that kind of delve into the idea of like either parallel universes or like jumping through time and like the problems that might bring about in the story. I always thought that was pretty cool. So it was definitely interesting, the whole parallel universe idea going on with the Cloverfield Paradox. But I enjoyed the film. Wasn't fantastic, wasn't awful, didn't offend me, so that's good. And besides that, that's about pretty much my week. Work and school sucks ass, but hey, we all got to do it at one point or another. So, was that your week, Shawn? You had anything? You see any movies or anything like that?
No.
Nothing really?
No, I haven't watched much. I finished Drifters.
Drifters was good. That's an anime, for those who don't know.
Oh, shit. What else did I do?
It's hard thinking back. Like, sometimes I'll be thinking about my week, like, at work, and it'll be after the podcast. I'm like, fuck, I forgot something to say. And I remember it always afterwards. It happens all the time. Especially when you're, like, put on the spot. Like, think about your week real quick. Tell me what happened. So, that's about it, though. Just been chilling.
Yeah, I finished Drifters, and I finished something else. Oh, I think I caught Blockade Battlefront up or something. I don't remember.
Okay. All right.
Honestly.
Jonathan, one of our friends, he told me, he's been on the podcast, but he told me straight up that, like, Violet Evergarden gets really good, like, around episode, like, 4 and 5. And he's got me enticed to see what happens. Because they set up something, I mean, if we get to, like, the night where everything went down, that'd be cool to see. Because there's been relatively zero to, like, a little to zero action in the show. It's mostly been, like, a character study, kind of developing this world and setting up everything. And it's been more of, like, Violet and her pursuit to understand just human emotion, which sounds odd, but that's just kind of like what she's trying to do, because she grew up in the military. They still haven't said exactly if she's human or not. They just refer to her as a doll, but she does bleed and stuff like that, so I don't know exactly what she really is. But she might be like some kind of manufactured weapon of some sort. But seeing her kind of go from like a blank slate into dealing with human emotion and learning about like love and stuff like that, it's really cool. And again, that's why it's more of like a character study than an action show. But I'm surprised Jonathan likes it, because I think when I look at Jonathan, or from Jonathan's personality, I think he's more of like an action guy instead of something where it's just people talking for 20 minutes on end and stuff like that. So it's cool to see that he's enjoying it. On top of the fact that it's fucking gorgeous. That show is so pretty. What are they called? KyoAni. KyoAni does fantastic animations. So it's cool. So I'm glad that you could join me, Shawn. Glad all you out there tuning in have decided to tune in and listen to us and check us out. We really appreciate it. So before we move on, we're going to go on to our housekeeping real quick. Talk a little bit about ways that you can connect with us. We have a Discord, as I stated previously. You can come by, say hi. Also, if we talked about anything during this podcast that you have a thought on, something like that you would like to share, you can do that in the comment section. On some podcasting services have it, or on YouTube, our main base, where we do like Let's Plays, other stuff like that. You can check that out. Feel free to subscribe on the respective podcasting service you're using, or come over on YouTube and drop a subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Twitter. I think it's Thought Patrol, or I don't know what our Twitter handle is. I don't use it often, so I always forget. We use it mostly as just like a notification center, like, oh, hey, here's what we're doing today, or here's what we plan on doing today. Let me see real quick. Thought Patrol PD, that's what it is. Okay. So that had me interested. Okay. So Thought Patrol PD is where you can check out our tweets. Again, it's just like when we did the stream. The stream was on Twitter. You could check that out when we put up YouTube videos, stuff like that. So that's Twitter. And finally, if you guys really want brownie points, you want to get into our metaphorical pants, I recommend dropping an iTunes review. I know not everyone has the ability to do that, especially since iTunes is a shitty program to have to install into your computer, especially if you don't use it. But that'd be a really good way to help us out and just get more people into this show. Oh, excuse me. Wow. Oh, so, with the housekeeping out of the way, we got a mailbag question from our boy, the Flash 2189, aka Sam Harris. Been on the podcast before, but he's got a question for you and me, Shawn. And I'm going to go ahead and read it. Hello, you fine, glorious beings. Why? Oh my, Sam. Next time I see Sam, I'm about to give him a little peck on the cheek. I was wondering...
Yeah, he knows just how to get us wet.
Yeah, he knows. I was wondering if you would mind letting me know your thoughts about a question I have been pondering every time. Nothing against you, Sam. But like you see, it seems like when you write your question, and again, nothing against you. I love you. But it feels like he's like trying to get like that word count on an essay for school or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he's throwing in adjectives all over the place to make it sound like it, or put more words on the word count for the paper. The question I've been pondering: when I eventually have children one day, I want them to experience gaming similar to how I did. With that being said, if you have children, are you going to introduce them to gaming? Are you going to break out the old NES or SNES and have them play the classics? Or are you going to let them embrace the latest and greatest of their current time? Oh, Jesus, excuse me. Your thoughts are always a treasure to hear. Go beyond, plus ultra. So, now, Shawn, I know you've already done this because we talked about it earlier. So explain to me, with your daughter, how you introduced her to gaming. What did you do?
I played my favorite games for her, so it was new and old. Like, we played, I got her into Castlevania, I got her into Final Fantasy, I got her into Mega Man and Mario and Zelda, and the shit that stuck was the stuff that rang with her. So she liked Mario, but she was more into, she definitely got into, like, Zelda, and she had a hard time. Spatial physics was something she struggled. Hold on a second. Spatial physics is something she struggled with. So she tried. She tried to. Sorry.
It's okay.
She tried to learn the camera and
just like understanding
that was really
where
hard
she
for her.
Was relative to the rest of the world in the game, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was a combination of learning the controls and then the camera and how everything reacts.
Okay.
Like, the spatial physics was the hard part. So I focused on games that didn't require spatial physics.
Okay, so like sticking to like 2D, kind of. Instead of like a 3D plane. Keeping one like a flat surface. Okay. That's kind of...
yeah, things that didn't require that.
Yeah. To go in the reverse of this question, like my dad, he just, again, a slight tangent. My dad, he grew up with games, but mostly like it was near like him moving into like teens kind of, but he went to like arcades and stuff like that. So it was interesting trying to show him games that I enjoyed when I was growing up, because we played games together, but it was like the reverse of this. He wasn't showing me games that he grew up with. It was me showing him games that I was currently growing up with, kind of. So it was cool because he loved war games. He was a big fan of war games, but he also had that issue. But it wasn't like being like space relative to his character. It was more of just the controller. Because when he grew up, you had like a stick and like two buttons, right? And now the controllers to him, as he grew up, it was difficult to both not look at the controller and look at the TV for what you're doing, and then also memorizing the buttons and stuff. But he was a huge fan of like the flying games, like where you like control planes and war and stuff like that. He loved those games. He was a big fan of like Medal of Honor when that was in its bigger areas. He loved the earlier Call of Duties. So we'd play games together. It was just interesting because I had grown up with like practically a controller in my hands. From a young age, I was playing NES, SNES, stuff like that. And although controllers got a little bit more advanced, only slightly, it was interesting seeing him growing up with like a stick and two buttons, having to deal with like triggers and like sticks and like face buttons and all this other shit, and him learning kind of how to play games that way. And he never really fully learned, but it was always fun being able to sit down and play. He still loves fucking Mario Kart. He's a big ass fan of Mario Kart, and every once in a while we'll sit down with the Switch and play Mario Kart together. So that's always really cool. But that's just, again, side tangent. I thought that was interesting, kind of like to flip the question on its back. And that's how it kind of used to be when I grew up with my father. He didn't show me games, I showed him games. And I still do every now and then. If I think it's something that he'll enjoy, I'll show it to him. Like every once, he liked Assassin's Creed too for a bit. He liked the idea of Assassin's Creed. We even watched the movie together, which we're not going to talk about. And he's a big fan of the Assassin's Creed series. So I think that's cool. He also loved Halo, although he never really played it that much. So continue, Shawn. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So it was picking things that she could handle, that utilized buttons she could handle.
Okay.
For the most part, and trying to pick games that didn't have the steepest learning curve. Because there was a lot of games where she just got super frustrated, and I kind of learned from there. And I also played a lot of multiplayer games where I did have to kind of let her win on occasion, so she didn't get too frustrated.
Yeah.
Not all the time, mind you. But
Oops,
it was
I pressed the wrong button.
yeah, you know. But for the most part, I introduced her to things I liked, whether they were hard or not.
Okay.
And a lot of times, she would just watch me play.
You were the advent of the Let's Play.
Well, no, yeah, I guess so. It was before there were Let's Plays.
Yeah.
But it was everything from like he's saying, you introduce them to the classics, or that type of thing, and I introduced her to everything.
Yeah.
Like there was no genre that I didn't do. Now the ultra violent stuff I didn't do. When she got a little bit older, she walked in on me playing Grand Theft Auto. No, it wasn't Grand Theft Auto. I think it was like GoldenEye or Perfect Dark, and I told her it was paintballs that I was shooting at people. And when she asked where the color was, I went in and turned on the paintball code. Okay. And then later on, when I play games that didn't have paintball code, she just said I was playing paintball, and if there was blood, I had her convinced temporarily as ketchup, but I really tried not to play that stuff when she was around.
Yeah.
But I graduated her up. I started with simpler games, and then I went to more complicated things, and the stuff that was way too complicated for her, she would just watch. And then eventually, again, the stuff that was the hardest was learning spatial physics. Like learning first-person shooters were hard because you're controlling your character and your camera independently. Your look and your strafe are two separate functions on a controller. So learning where she was in relation to things, and then controlling her character and the camera in relation to those things was difficult. And then the other thing she struggled with was learning to explore. Because when you're a kid, you kind of go directly to wherever you're supposed to go. The exploring part, you'd think that's the opposite, but I would have to remind her to go and check side corridors and to go and check basements or attics or things like that, because she wouldn't think to do it. She would just go directly to the backyard where the quest was or the monster was or what have you. And you'd think that as kids that she'd want to explore, but in reality, she was going to wherever the goal was, because the games I started her with were, platformers and the like. So she started with things like Super Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time and stuff like that, were her 3D kind of entries, and it was just a learning curve, all of it. But I didn't like not introduce her to games just because they were difficult. Like for instance, sometimes she would do the story parts and I would do the combat, or I would coach her through things. But I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do it. My only suggestions is take it slow. If they get frustrated, don't push them into it. Just switch into an easier game and come back to it. Always encourage them. Just like when they're playing, sports games or competitive games and they lose, go, great job. I love how you took out that one guy, or I love how you did that, or hey, can you show me what that move was that you did? Because I haven't done that before, so on and so forth. And then as they gain more skill in that specific type of game, or that kind of I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but that kind of a technique, so to speak, and you just kind of expand into other games that build on that a little bit more. But she took to it like a fish in water. The biggest problem she had, again, was the frustration when she couldn't beat something.
Yeah. that my father echoed that too. Like the idea of controlling not only the character's movement on one plane, but the view of the camera on another. and they're being assigned to two separate sticks. That was always very difficult for him when he was trying to play games, and that's why he liked to stick to like the vehicle-based ones, like airplanes and stuff like that. So it's interesting the way that it kind of the situation mirrors itself, mostly because they're both, not because one's young and one's old, but they're both new to the situation in general. And the idea, although we've grown up with it, so we're just used to it being second nature, it's complicated for someone that doesn't have any idea what it is. It's hard to kind of learn initially. So I just think that that's interesting that those situations mirrored each other. But
it doesn't matter the technology, though, man. It doesn't matter what it looks like. They don't care about graphics. They don't care about frames per second or resolution. You just pick stuff that's fun, and that gives them a lot of feedback to their fun, you know?
Yeah, stuff that's rewarding. And that's cool. So does she, I'm assuming she still plays games today when she has time?
Oh yeah, she kind of went a different direction than I did. Whereas we both love certain series. Like, she loves Castlevania, and she loves Devil May Cry, and she loves those kind of games, and all the ones that you know that I love, Zelda and Final Fantasy. She doesn't necessarily get into all of them. Like, she doesn't necessarily play all of them. Like, she doesn't really, she wants to get into Final Fantasy. She's not really done it. She's not thrown herself into JRPGs as hard as she has American stuff. She loves Skyrim and Fallout. She's a huge fan of those games. She plays those into the dirt. So she's more, she would deny being stuck on any specific category, but she definitely leans farther towards the freedom of choice type stuff and the do it however you want and be whoever you want type of play, as opposed to the more restrictive narrative stuff that I prefer. But that doesn't mean that she doesn't play those kind of things.
Okay.
But I haven't seen her play like Castlevania. I haven't seen her pick up Mega Man. And truth be told, she's not into games that are skill-based challenge games like some of the ones that you and I would get into. She loves what's that? The first Dark Souls clone that came out.
Oh, I don't know. There's so many of them.
It's got werewolves in it.
I don't fucking know. Is it 3D or 2D? Because
it's 3D. It's a Dark Souls. Dark Souls was a unique genre when it came out.
Yeah, but there's 2D Dark Souls games like Salt and Sanctuary, Hollow Knight. Although
that's not a Dark Souls game. That's more of a platformer or an action game.
I'd say Salt and Sanctuary is the closest to being a 2D clone of Dark Souls. Salt and Sanctuary is like the exact same thing. It's crazy.
She got into it for sure.
I don't know. I'm thinking werewolves and Dark Souls.
It takes place in England.
I don't even fucking know, dude.
Well, anyway, she's got it, and I think the people in it are diseased or something.
Bloodborne?
That's it.
That's not a clone. That's literally a Souls game. It's made by the same exact people.
It's not part of that universe, though. It's not a Souls game.
It is a Souls game. It's called the Souls.
Is it really? Since when?
It's made by the same exact people.
Yeah, but being made by the same person, Nintendo makes Zelda, but that's not Mario.
But when they refer to that franchise, it's called the Soulsborne franchise because they lump the two together.
They're similar.
Okay. Yes,
I'm talking about like the same continuity. It's not. I didn't understand it to be part of the Souls continuity. I thought it was its own story, its own property.
It is its own story.
But yeah, she bought Bloodborne. She adores Bloodborne, but she hates the difficulty of it.
Bloodborne's awesome. That was the reason I bought a PlayStation. I said fuck you to my friends that are on Xbox already just to play Bloodborne on PS4. And I have not regretted my decision since, because the PS4 ended up doing way better than the Xbox One did with games in general. So I love Bloodborne, and I'm super excited for the next From Software game that we're getting, whatever it ends up being in the future. Super pumped to see what they push out next, because I love those types of games. But yeah, that's Bloodborne. That's cool. So
she does get into that stuff, but I think for the most part, she's big into like more open world RPGs, action RPGs, things that you can control your challenge level.
Okay.
As opposed to
it just being hard as shit all the time.
Force challenge on you. Yeah, like you can control how difficult
Fallout.
like Fallout and Skyrim is.
Okay.
You know, you can decide, you know, how you want to take it and how you want to approach it. She likes stuff where you make those type of decisions. So those are games I know she loves, and I think she does some of the what are those goofball comic book style games?
I have no clue.
Like the Psychopath games. She does those sometimes.
Like
and
visual novels?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Oh,
she does
okay.
the visual novels.
Okay. That's interesting. She get her to play Doki Doki.
Oh, she'd be all over that.
I'm sure.
But she's like me in a sense that she's detail oriented. But yeah, like I adjusted what we played to her growing skill level. Again, the hardest thing was the spatial physics. That's the thing to pay extra special attention to, because they don't get the spatial physics immediately. Like understanding where they are in relation to where everything else is and how to move in relation to that.
Okay. Cool.
That's the biggest problem that she had. Otherwise, like I didn't really limit or decide. I let her pick games. She loves playing games with me. We got into the Warriors franchises,
like Dynasty Warriors.
Dude. We're all over those.
Okay, cool. Because I remember that's about it. I remember we used to play Minecraft together with her. I know we did that a couple times, but that was like the extent of at least my interaction with her when it came to gaming. But yeah, that's cool. Definitely cool. Now, for my course of action, I don't exactly know. I don't have a child. I do plan to have children. Although every day I work at Publix, I'm constantly reminded how much of a pain in the ass the first couple of years will be. But it's cool. I like the idea of, it's like, this is something that I grew up with. It's awesome. I want to see if you'll like it, and then we can enjoy it again together. And then you have a nostalgia trip on one end, and on top of that, you're doing something with like the love of your life, fruit of your loins kind of thing, sitting right in front of you. And I think that's a really cool relationship to have with your child. I think my kid gets shot out of the vagina, right? First thing he's getting put in his hands, he ain't getting wiped off. He's getting a PlayStation controller, and he's getting to play Dark Souls 3. And we'll see how far he makes it. And then every time he loses, I'm going to put on the wall. We're going to have a tally. It's going to be the you died sign, right? And then every time he dies, I'll put a tally, and he'll get one spanking on the bottom, right? And every time he gets in another tally, it's 2 spankings, right? So it gets bigger, right? Third tally, 3 spankings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my child and make them into an esports god, right? So from like, again, right out of the vagina, I guess, I don't know what it will be. Most recent, I'll fucking give him a mouse. I don't give a shit. And he's going to be playing CSGO, fuck Overwatch, whatever the popular esports game of the time is. I'm going to make myself a fine-tuned esports machine, and then when he gets signed to a team, I'll be his coach, right? And then I'll stand behind him with and I'll give him his monster energy drinks and shit when he needs them, and then I'll pat his forehead with a towel, and then when he wins, he'll be my retirement. And yeah, I think that's good. I think that's what I'll do. And then I'll build myself a esports machine. What do you think about that? I think that's a good idea. I think
that could work, and also runs the risk of building bitterness and hatred towards video games, but it's worth a shot.
Hey, listen, he could play fun games on his free time.
Spanking.
He could play fun games on his free time. In all honesty, I'd start with what I grew up with, kind of like what you did. So yeah. It would be the early Marios, early Zeldas. And then I think once I get to a certain age where my child can actually talk, and I think I'd kind of relinquish him, kind of, and see what he picks up. Because if you were to look at it today, say if I had a child today that was young, probably be playing like Fortnite or something with their friends. And I think on top of the fact that just gaming is a cool thing to experience, I also like that it could bring people together. So if he has like a bunch of friends and they play games together, I just let him kind of do what he wants, in all honesty. Maybe I could even, depending on what's going on, I'll definitely be getting him whatever the main series console is at that time of day or whatever, whenever this event takes place. And I'd like to play with him too, if he allows me to. He's not like, "Fuck off, Dad. I'll play with my friends. We're playing Fortnite or whatever." Then we'll see how that goes. That's why we.
Well, that's why you take his plug, his power cord.
Oh.
You take his power cord,
and then I beat him on the bottom.
Let him look at his PlayStation, but not be able to play it.
Yeah, and then
I think it's important as soon as you can. I think it's important for the long run to share their system, but I think when they hit like teens or middle school age, like when you buy, you're going to start doing something which is both very frustrating and very rewarding. And that is when I go out and I see something I really like, because my daughter and I are like 75% shared taste, So when I go out and I see an awesome statue or collectible, I see a Batman thing, I see a Sandman thing from the comic books, or like something from Neil Gaiman, or something from an anime that we both like, or so on and so forth. Like, I will pick it up because I want it, but I know that if I want it, she wants it. So if I see something that really strikes me, then I know it's going to strike her. She's not as big into Transformers as I am, but she likes certain ones, like ones that are really attractive in both modes, for instance. So I'll pick one of those up for her because she collects collectibles like I do. She goes into the Black Butler area, which I don't, for flagrantly obvious reasons. It's not that I didn't enjoy tiny parts of Black Butler, but the boy love bit is a little strong for me.
She's in the BL, dude.
She is into Black Butler, yeah.
No, BL.
I don't know if BL, boy love. No, I don't think necessarily the boy love part is what attracts her, as much as it is just the complete mixture of everything in it that's transgressive and somewhat homoerotic.
Did she like?
It's so fucked. That show is so weird.
She gets home, or you like get home or something. You go to visit her, and her room's like covered in like free posters and fucking
like a bunch of like gorgeously drawn men with soft eyes looking at each other with little pink spirals in the background. Who the fuck? Like, nobody warned me what Black Butler was when I got into it. And you know me, I don't quit anime unless it's really garbage. I watched some bad anime all the way to the end, like that one that mimics Power Rangers in the future. It's fucking awful. I don't remember what it was called, but it's terrible.
Oh.
Like, it's these cops that throw on power armor that looks like Power Rangers.
Maybe I don't remember. There was one that was really bad about like these kids are trying to save the planet or something like that. It was awful. I don't remember what it was called though.
I think I saw that one too, but I'll finish it just to know, because I started watching things and I started a Facebook page, a group, but it was the kind that you have to monitor separately. It's not an actual group, because in the gamer group that I have on Facebook, I used to post reviews, and I would go in depth, and they were they were like intelligently written because I'm a good writer, not a great writer, but I'm a good writer. And I really enjoyed doing it. I would watch at first I called it Netflix anime review. I don't fucking remember what I called it. Streaming geek reviews. And I reviewed Hunter x Hunter, and I reviewed a bunch of stuff, and they were very well written. And I meant to transition those over to a page where I did nothing but review streaming stuff, especially when I expanded into having Crunchyroll. So I could review anything that I watched and put it up there and people could discuss it. And I never followed through on it. After I made the Streaming Geeks page, I never did anything with it. But I still am committed to finishing what I watch. So I started Black Butler, and I didn't take long for me to figure out, like, there'd be a scene where like their faces would be super fucking close, and then there'd be a sigh, and nothing would ever happen. But every time, like, it makes my dick retract a little bit, like, And it's, I am by far not afraid of. I'm very secure in my homosexuality. I'm very secure in my sexuality.
Very secure in my homosexuality.
Yeah, homosexuality doesn't bother me. I don't really care. I walked in on. I have a funny story involving exactly how much that doesn't bother me, but also does not attract me, which I may have told you once. Did I ever tell you about Big Gay Al and the pink tutu thing? When I was really drunk.
No.
Oh God!
What the fuck? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's a total. Okay,
Go on.
all right. So I was dating this girl named Fox. Now, this was when I was neck
It's a
deep
stripper
and
name,
got
dude.
in the. Well, it was technically it was her last name, but that's what she went by.
Okay.
It was Samantha Fox, not the same Samantha Fox that I think is an actress or something.
It sounds familiar.
Her mom called her Sam, I called her Fox. But anyway, Fox invites me. Well, technically, Big Gay Al, which
Big
we
Gay.
called him Big Gay Al.
She's a
because
singer
he never
and
wore
songwriter.
Huh? Is he?
Samantha Fox is a singer-songwriter.
Okay, yeah, not the same Samantha Fox by any means. This was a half Asian Samantha Fox.
She did not age well.
Did she? Oh.
No, she
Anyway, Big Gay Al, there used to be this huge goth subculture presence in downtown Orlando. There's this road or this side avenue that you don't drive on. It was never one that anybody took a car down, called Wall Street, which they have since destroyed because they didn't want us there. And Wall Street was super dark. Like, you could be walking down Orange. There's all these nightclubs and bars and pizzerias and shit. It's the center of Orlando nightlife. And then there's this little side street, almost like a wide alley, and there was a coffee shop and a bookstore.
Okay.
And the coffee shop was not a Starbucks. It was independently owned. And we all thrived in this short little alley road.
What a hardcore place to set up, dude.
Yeah, bookstore, coffee shop. Let's fucking go.
On, how much more goth can you get? Like, stereotypically, right? There had to be like 80 people every fucking night there. Or I'm exaggerating. It might have been closer to 40, but there was a shitload of us.
Okay.
And they're in and out of the bookstore. They're in and out of the coffee shop. I think there were one or two other shops. It wasn't a long road, man. It was like 3 or 4 stores long, and the coffee shop took up 2 stores worth of space, so to speak.
Okay.
And 2 of the stores were never open, but the bookstore stayed open late, and they carried like weird books, occult books, and unusual books, and nothing.
I mean, like porno or something.
No. I mean, they might have had a porn section. I don't recall. I didn't go in there very often.
We have books.
Fuck that. I spent most of my time in the car. Well, no, not because of that. I just was usually busy with other shit. But at the end of the alley, away from the main drag, there was a cul-de-sac that cars could pull into and turn around, and that's where the largest amount of people were. And I met a group, a social clique within the clique that centered around Big Gay Al. And this dude was 7 feet tall, weighed like 400 pounds, big round boy. He looked like one of the fucking bad guys in a side-scrolling beat-em-up that wears the fucking ball cap and has the shirt that doesn't go far enough down. Like, Al was a fat dude. But he never, ever wore shoes. This dude
Wasn't there a fat dude named Fat Albert? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, but this guy wasn't black.
Oh.
And this was before South Park. So saying Big Gay... Well, no, actually, was it? Was this before South Park?
South Park's been going on forever.
I don't know if he got the name... Yeah, because South Park was on when I was in high school, so it might have been after. I don't remember if Big Gay Al was because of South Park or if it was just a coincidence.
Okay.
But he never wore shoes.
What?
And he was always gothed out, like the goth makeup and the earrings and the fishnets and shit. And he was a tubby boy. And he never wore shoes, like, ever. The dude had calluses in the bottom of his feet. He could walk on coals and stand there.
He had shoes. They were just natural.
Yeah, like hobbit shoes. It was fucking gross. But he was the badass motherfucker. He's cool as shit. He knew how to fat fight, is what he called it.
Okay.
Like, he could beat ass as a fat man.
What is the technical lingo that creates fat fighting? Like,
he made it up because he knew that he was fat, so he was always doing fat jokes.
Oh, okay.
And he was always gay. He was bear gay, so he's hairy fat guy. So he was a bear. Gay guys who were into bears dug him, etc., cuddle, whatever.
Okay.
So he invites me. Long story short is he rooms with Fox. She has a room on the second floor, and it's in a townhouse.
Okay.
So I get a ride I think it was my first taxi ride ever. Actually, I was in another part of Orlando. I got a taxi to where I thought I was supposed to go, but I didn't write down the address and everything to write with it when initially. So when I got in the cab, I asked for a pen and paper. Guy had it, wrote down the address to try and not forget it, and then I told him where we were going, and he dropped me off. Well, this area with the townhouses wasn't too far from downtown Orlando, and all the fucking houses look the same. And everybody parks on the road, so it's not like you're necessarily parked in front of your own house.
Yeah.
So I walk up to the door, and I'm like, I was wearing a fishnet shirt, I was wearing a leather vest, leather pants, combat boots, I had stiletto earrings, so I had knives hanging from my ears, razor blades hanging from my ears. They weren't something you'd actually cut some. Well, the knives you could, but the razor blades weren't real.
Okay.
I had eyeliner on. I had acrylic nails filed to a point. Damn. I had
looking dope, dude.
Yeah, dude. I was
ready to fuck some shit up.
I was built back then.
Do you mind if I ask you a question? How long would something like that take to like prepare? If you were to go out and you need to look nice or extra goth.
Oh Jesus, dude!
How long would that take you to do all that shit?
I had to start because I'm decent at doing my eye makeup and my nails, but I do it much slower than any females that I know or drag queens that I know. They fucking just plow through that shit.
Okay.
So I would start getting ready 2 hours to 3 hours in advance. If I was going like in full gear, I would start way in advance. I'd do my nails, I'd do my eyes. I put my eyes first, then I'd do my nails, then I'd let them dry. Then I'd do another coat, then I'd let them dry. Then I'd touch up anything that I needed to. Then I would do my hair, shower, etc., etc., etc. Get everything ready.
Okay.
And I would always start early because when you're used to the nails, it doesn't take long. You know how to cup your hands and shit like that so your nails aren't catching shit, especially if you've got them filed to a point, which was awesome. You just run them up some girl's back from the bottom up. Holy shit. Always a positive response. Yeah, that was awesome. Fox liked them, but she was kinky.
Okay.
So anyway, I walk up to this house and I knock on the door. And a little 8-year-old girl, I'm guessing at age because I suck at age, but she was elementary school age, little innocent face, bright blue eyes, bright blonde hair, little pink dress. And it's like 10 at night. That's not a pink dress. It was, what do you call them? A nightgown? Yeah. Like apparently, and you hear her mother say, "What are you doing out of bed?" And then comes around the corner and her mother's like, "Oh fuck." And I was like, I am at the wrong house. What the fuck is going on? And then the dad comes around and he's this big lumberjack looking dude and he's like, "What are you doing at my house?" And I was like, I was supposed to be there's a get together.
Do you have time to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior?
Yeah. So eventually I stumbled out that I was trying to go to a party, and he's like, "Look, there's a house behind us, behind this block that is constantly doing parties and shit. You might have better luck there." So I had to walk like a half mile down the street, around, and walk back up because these houses were connected, so there wasn't even like a walk between. And then every so often, when there was, they had a fence. So I walk all the way down, all the way back up. I'm carrying a bag with I brought like a bottle of red wine. I brought like a bottle of, I think it was vodka. I think I was drinking vodka at the time. And something else that I brought. And I think I had 3 bottles. But anyway, I had this paper bag that I'm walking around this neighborhood carrying booze, looking like a spawn of hell. I get to the house, and it's obvious now that I'm at the right place because there's a whole bunch of undead hanging out in the front yard. You know, it's the Addams family reunion. So I walk up to the door, and I still haven't figured out if you just walk into a party or you knock first. Like, I still haven't figured out which you're supposed to do because they tell you to go in, but my instinct is always to knock, so I knocked. And Al opens the door in a bathrobe. Ooh. Which isn't entirely unusual for Al. Al is always wearing things he shouldn't be.
I was going to say, not party attire, but hey, live comfortably.
No, actually it was party attire. No, Al invited me to the party.
Okay.
So Al's like, "Oh, Shawn, you made it. Great. We're in the sitting room." I'm like, "Okay, awesome." He's like, "You can put the drinks down over there." I'm like, "Okay, awesome." So I walk, and you have to understand the construction of the foyer. there's the door, there's a coat closet to your left, a little table, and then
Okay.
you take like, I don't know, 10, 12 steps, and then there's a sitting room on the right, and the kitchen is on your left.
Okay.
And then directly behind you is the entrance door, and in front of you is stairs, and there's a bathroom under the stairs. Okay? Now, next to the bathroom, next to the stairs, is a table where there's a bowl full of ice and a shitload of booze. And immediately the smell hits me, but it doesn't register yet.
Smell of what?
I sweat, amongst
okay.
other things. You smell human bodies,
Stank.
all right? And there's another scent, which I'm not going to tell you because you need to understand what I
You're
saw.
gonna save that
So
for the end.
Yeah,
Did you-
I'm holding the
did you-
booze. I walk past the kitchen. I see Fox in the kitchen to my left, and she's baking. Fox had this habit of when she would get bored, she would cook stuff. She didn't usually eat it. Al did. But she would cook things, cakes, roasts, whatever happened to be on hand. She would just make stuff. She was a really good cook. So she was making, I think it was a sponge cake or some shit.
Dope.
I walk past the kitchen. I say hello. She looks surprised to see me.
That's not a good sign.
No, it's not. So I walk past. I put down my booze. I walk back, and now I look to my left. Now I'm facing the front door. The kitchen is on my right. My back
Okay.
is to the stairs, and I look to my left, and there are 11 people. Now I look to my left for about 3 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, maybe less, probably less.
Probably less. You know what
But I
happens?
look to my left, and I see 11 people daisy chained in a circle.
Oh, like
Naked.
human centipede?
Naked human centipede, yes.
Okay.
Just men and women, daisy chained, face, ass, fuck, whatever the fuck kind of fucking was going on in a circle. So I immediately turn and walk into the kitchen, take 2 steps to my right, put my back to the wall, light up a pack of my first of my clove cigarettes. I went through 10 of them before I moved. I separated my back from the wall. And I must have gone through 10 before I said anything. And then I was like, Fox, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 11? It was 11. There's 11 people
Having a
in your
blast.
sitting room. It's like they're it's a circle. There's no stitches in sight. They're very naked. There's just a lot of in the other room. There's 11 in there's sex things happening. I don't could you help me here, because I'm not working.
It turns out I'm at the right
And-
party.
Yeah,
Rip-
and
rip
she's
logic,
like,
bro.
she's like, I seriously didn't think you would go, because it's not really, I didn't
It's like
think this was your
something-
scene.
It's something you put
And
on
I'm
the
like-
fucking memo. Like,
Yeah, I'm like, all Al said was, are you coming to the party Saturday night? And he's like, that's all he said to me was, are you coming to the party? And she's like, oh, he
You
didn't
think-
say it was an orgy. And I'm like, fuck no, he didn't say. You never told me. This is new. This is very new. This is all so new. I am old. I'm not new. I just 2 different things. It's just here. I'm over there. Don't understand how. This is not happening. I'm very broken right now.
that's
And
it.
she's like, honey, just go up to my room and wait for me. When I'm done cooking, I'll come up and join you. And I'm like, yes, please.
That's
Yes.
That's an interesting orgy. Had just
It
like
didn't end. I haven't even got to the pink tutu.
Okay.
Now, bear in mind, they had been going for 2 hours before I got there.
Story
I got there
time.
at 10.
With Uncle Shawn.
Yeah, sorry. So I got there
That's
at
fine.
10. They had started at 8.
Okay.
Apparently, they had been fucking and trading off partners and shit and doing the porn version
That
of orgy,
seems
and then
so
eventually they just decided to do a big group
Incredibly
thing.
risky. Seems so incredibly risky.
Well, I'm assuming they were using protection. I didn't go at it with a fucking microscope. So I walked up to the table and I grabbed my bottle, and then I grabbed another bottle, and then I grabbed the entire bucket of ice, and I grabbed a 2-liter of Coke, and then
Yeah, they
I
didn't
waddled
need
my
it.
ass upstairs with all the. Fuck them.
Yeah, they didn't need it. They were enjoying
I-
themselves.
No, there was more than the bowl of ice. I grabbed the bucket of ice.
Oh, okay.
They had one of those steel pails, But anyway, I fucking took some ice. I went upstairs. I made it to the top of the stairs. And there was this tiny girl that was part of our social group, this itty bitty little Wednesday Addams girl.
Okay.
And I think her name was Ash, if I recall.
It's a nice name.
But I was like Ash or Mimi or something. Right now it's slipping my memory. But she comes out of the spare room because when you get up to the top, the first room on the right was Fox's. And then the second door down at the end of the hallway on the right, same wall as her bedroom, was the bathroom. And then on the left was the spare room, and then the next room on the left was the other bedroom. None of the bedrooms, at least as far as I knew, had a master bath.
Okay.
Maybe Al's did. I don't know. I never went in there except for the one time. But I go to the top of stairs, and this chick comes out, and she's like, "Hey, Shawn." And I was like, "Hey, Ash or Mimi or whatever your name is," because I've forgotten if you're listening. I'm sorry. You're probably not, though.
Is she
like,
listening?
I'm so glad you could make it. And she's got a 1.75 of Jack in her right hand, and there's like a tiny swash at the bottom.
Okay.
It's like maybe a quarter inch of it. Now, bear in mind, she weighs 90 to 110 pounds soaking wet. Now, she's got a fully developed body. She's curvy. She's not skinny. She's just tiny.
Okay.
So she's like, "I'm so glad you can make it. You should totally join me later. We're going to have so much fun. Oh my God." And then she's like, "Oh, wait." And it looks like she's about to fall asleep. And like, she forgot I was there. Then her eyes pop open and she's like, "Oh, I almost forgot. You want to see a neat trick?" And I'm like, "I don't know how to." Yes.
I prepared for everything after tonight.
I'd love to see a neat trick. Anything to make me forget what I just saw. And so she turns around, drops the robe. So the robe's on the floor. She's butt naked now.
We're getting
completely
kinky.
nude.
Okay.
Bends over to like she's about to touch her feet, reaches between her legs and pulls a can of Budweiser out of her vagina.
That's rough. I can't imagine.
The rough part was then she opened it and started drinking it, but I immediately just bypassed her because I didn't know what to say at that point.
You know what sucks? Because
like went into Fox's room.
Yeah, rude beer is disgusting. Or rude.
Warm beer.
Warm beer is disgusting too. And I don't know how long she had it in her cooter, but if it was cold and you have all the warmth around it, that shit was gonna get like warm beer is absolutely disgusting. That's the worst part of that.
I was absolutely like, holy shit. First of all, she was hot naked, I'm not going to lie. But the moment she bent over and pulled something out twice the thickness of my dick, like it was falling out of a fucking boot. I don't know. Just boop! Like a fucking, you put 50 cents in and the gumball comes out. Like that's how fast it came out.
Well, yeah, because it's
like
pressure.
She put 2 fingers in and boop! Out it comes. Like, I was just like, not that I would have ever cheated on Fox because I wouldn't have, but even if Fox was not in my life at the time, I'm not sure that I could have competed with Budweiser. You know what I'm saying?
Bitch,
like, I don't know.
You know what?
Like, no, mine's it's a good size. It works just fine. But I don't know if I could compete with that baseball bat thickness fucking can. Like, that's a bit more than what I'm carrying. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was like, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. And into Fox's room I went.
Is it bad that I thought that she was going to, like, poop on the floor or something? You said she was going to bend over.
Nothing that disgusting happened. I would like to go out and say I am not disgusted by orgies. I'm not disgusted by nudity. I would just like a little bit of warning.
Yeah, before I'm invited to one.
Walk in. Like,
let me prepare.
I was not even close to that frame of mind. Like a little bit of coaching would be nice. Like, hey, by the way, there's going to be a bunch of people naked, not of all who are attractive, changing fluids in front of you, and you will smell it.
Oh, I can't imagine this. If
they could have just warned me a little bit, if I had known, then I would have been prepped, and then you wouldn't have seen me react at all. I'd been like, oh, okay, whatever.
If only we were in the future where podcasts introduce smells. Imagine how fantastic that would be. We could tell them exactly. I wanted to smell like crusty ass and sweat for this segment of the podcast. The entire podcast will smell like crusty ass and sweat.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't smelled sex before, the closest an analog I can come with is, if you haven't washed your junk for a little while, you get that strong odor. It's a lot like that, but multiply that times like 1,000 because there was a shitload of naked people.
Like it's like cheese, kind of like dick cheese.
No, God. God. Anyway, so I'm in Fox's room and I get fucking demolished. Like, I am so drunk. I am so drunk. Like, I meant to mix the Coke, but I didn't even think to do that until the second bottle.
You're just trying to escape from the situation.
It was that, and it was a combination of being embarrassed because of the way I reacted, because I wouldn't have normally reacted that way, but I was just shocked.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that much male nudity in one place before.
That's a lot of penises.
And
what do you do if
and
you
that was my first exposure to a buttload of naked guys. Like, bear in mind, there were 11 people daisy chained in a circle.
Yeah.
There were also people jacking off everywhere.
Okay, wait. Question. This is important. Now, what would you say the ratio was from girls to dudes?
It was I think there was four or five girls, and the rest were guys.
Okay, that's not horrible. Imagine you show up to an orgy and there's like one girl and like 12 dudes.
Oh God,
that'd be the worst.
Dumpster.
Wait your turn.
Apparently, more people showed up later. I don't know because I didn't go back downstairs. And anyway, I'm there for, God, I don't know. It felt like hours while she was cooking. Eventually, she came back up. We hung out for a while. I was really drunk. We did a whole bunch of stuff. And then she went back downstairs to actually make something to eat because I didn't want fucking cake. And I think she was making hamburgers or pizza or fucking bologna. I don't fucking know what the fuck she was cooking. I don't remember eating it. The last thing I remember was I had to go piss like really fucking bad because I'm a bottle and a half in.
Yeah.
And then I started mixing soda. So like, and alcohol runs through you. So I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I walk out. I walk down to the end of the hallway. I open the door on my left.
Oh, God. There's more?
No, I don't know why. I knew where the bathroom was. I knew where it was. It's the door on the right. It was the door on the right.
So what
but I opened the door on the left.
Are we back in Mimi's room?
Al's room.
Oh, Al's room. Okay. So Al's what a horrible host. Not even he's not even helping out with the orgy. He just lets everything ride.
He was helping.
Oh.
He was helping.
Okay.
Well, the gay guys were upstairs.
Oh, okay. In Al's room.
So I open the door, and the only thing that I lay eyes on is a big ass being railed by another big ass. Al being the one that's giving the dicking. And Al has a tremendous pink tutu on. And the only thing that pops into my head to say... Because they both stop and they look at me, and Al's just looking at me like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
I get it.
And he's mid-stroke, right? And he looks at me. I'm like, "Dude," and the only I said, "You're not." My only thing, I'm like, "Dude, Al, why the fuck are you wearing a tutu?" God, like I'm upset. Like this somehow is what offends me. And then I slam the door and I go into the bathroom, and I am halfway into pissing when it registers what just happened.
This is dead ass drunk. Oh,
I'm so drunk. And I'm just like, I cannot believe I did that to him. I cannot believe I walked in while he's getting it on and yelled at him for wearing a tutu. And so in my drunk mind, I figure out what to do about it. So I wash my hands. I go across back over the hallway. I open his door, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say anything about tutu. I'm just really drunk." And they both say in unison, "Dude, could you just get the fuck out of the room?" Like, dude, can you just shut the fucking door? And I was like, "Oh, yep, sorry." And I shut the door, and then I walk back into Fox's room, and then it registers what actually just happened. Like, I did it twice. So I went back downstairs and got 2 more bottles, ran back upstairs, and did my best to finish them and wipe the memory from my head. Then she came back upstairs and helped me forget. And that was my story with the pink tutu and the giant naked fat man.
Good story time with Shawn. Yeah. And moral of the story, if you're going to a party, prepare for everything, including orgies.
Gosh.
Make sure you bring your bondage gear just in case. Just don't make sure it's not noticeable at the start. But that one time you go to a party and ends up being an orgy, you'll be prepared and you won't be humiliated like our boy Shawn here. That's the moral of the story. That was
everyone thought it was hysterical the next morning. Like the few people that stayed there that slept on the floor and shit. When I woke up in the morning, hungover as a motherfucker. I come outside and there's like an assload of people in bathrobes that are all just laughing and clapping.
Nice. At least you had a triumphant victory at the end. That's good.
Incredibly awkward
So
experience.
So Sam, to answer your question, I you heard Shawn's side of the story. I do plan on, again, introducing my kid to gaming, and there's also also the possibility that they don't like games. And again, a lot of it's fine. A lot of growing up is just deciding what you want to do or what kind of person you want to be and stuff like that. So again, I'd probably take it by earshot. I would like to introduce them to get them into games and get them playing games because it's such a big part of my life. So it'd be awesome to be able to share that experience as I continue to grow with my child. But you never know. You never know what might happen. But I would like to try to get them into games. So I think that answers his question. I would start with the old and move into, as they age, see what they end up picking up. And then, yeah, you never know what might happen. So since we won't have a game segment because we had Shawn's story time. That was the segment, I guess. Let's move on into our box office tops. We'll talk about the movies. What's been doing good in the theaters over the last week. So from February 9th to the 11th for the weekend, we have at number 1, we have 50 Shades Freed. Sitting at number 1, $38 million with a budget of $55 million on its first week. At number 2, we have Peter Rabbit sitting at $25 million with a budget of $50 million in its first week. And at number 3,
I didn't even know that was a thing.
And at number 3, we have the 1517 to Paris. I don't know what that is. Pulling $12 million for the weekend, sitting at a budget of $30 million in its first week as well. So the top 3 are all new movies. But again, like for number 1, just be pulling $40 million, and it's like a movie about slightly kinky sex. Movies aren't doing very well right now. We'll see, probably once Black Panther comes out, we'll probably see a pretty big jump in attendance to theaters. At number 4, we have Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, pulling $9 million for the weekend, sitting at a total of $365 million with a budget of $90 million, sitting in its 8th week. At number 5, still holding out there, we have The Greatest Showman, sitting at $6 million, pulling a total of $146 million with a budget of $84 million, also in its 8th week. And those were your top 5. Again, I've seen Greatest Showman. I enjoyed it a lot. I liked it for being a musical. That's not everyone's thing, but I enjoyed it for what it was. Soundtrack was really good. Still haven't seen Jumanji. I don't even know what the fuck Peter Rabbit is or the 1517 to Paris. And then 50 Shades of Grey. I don't know. It does well because a bunch of girls go see it, and then dudes that want to have sex with their girl after, I guess.
I guess just make sure what seat you sit on.
Yeah. That reminds me of when the first movie came out. There was something like some dude I was working at a movie theater. I don't know if it was real or not. It could have been staged, but he like found a fucking like wet cucumber on one of the seats after the movie showing. But again, that could have...
Cucumber?
Yeah.
Wow.
That could have been staged, but knowing people, it might not have been. So we don't know. But I that's the one thing when I think of 50 Shades, that's what I remember. Also, I remember the fact that if you like pull open any part of the book and read it, you just feel retarded reading through.
Yeah, it's written so badly.
They're awful. Yeah, so that's that. Let's see. What else we got here? Some of the new movies that came out. We have La Boda de Valentina. No idea what that is. Pulled $1 million. Padman pulls $760,000. Bomb City pulling $31,000. Bunch of movies I've never heard before. And Get Out is actually still playing in theaters. I cannot fucking believe that. At number 42, Get Out on its 38th week made $15,000. I cannot believe that. This movie made $176 million and it was only had a budget of $4.5 million. But I can't believe that movie's still in theaters. It's been in theaters for 38 weeks. How many theaters is it in? It's only in 52, but still. That's crazy. So yeah, again, movies, nothing really big happening right now. We'll see what happens when Black Panther comes out. Probably be a huge upsurge of attendance. Oh, excuse me, man. Moving forward, we have our what to look for For the week coming up, we have a couple games coming out. We have Dynasty Warriors 9 coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on the 13th. We have The Fall 2 Unbound coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on the 13th. We have Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is actually got me really interested, coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC on the 13th as well. We have Owlboy coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on the 13th. We have The Longest 5 Minutes coming to Switch, Vita, and PC on the 13th. We have Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game, coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC on February 13th. And we have Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology coming to the 3DS on the 13th. Actually, there's more. We have Secret of Mana coming to the PS4, PS Vita, and PC on the February the 15th. We have Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 dropping on the Switch on the 16th of February. And we have Fee coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on the 16th of February as well. So definitely some interesting things. Dynasty Warriors is always cool. Kingdom Come Deliverance has me really interested. It's supposedly like the true medieval RPG. Looks really cool the way they have it set up and the way the game looks awesome. I heard Fee was interesting. Bayonetta I might pick up for Switch. I've played both games already, but being able to take them on the go might be cool, especially getting prepared for the third one coming out. And obviously Secret of Mana, a classic, being remastered for the PS4, the Vita, and the PC is also awesome. So that's what you guys got to look forward to over the next week. Definitely some good games coming out. Always some good games coming out. Sometime or another, there's always something to look forward to. So that's cool. So let's move on to our news. Jesus Christ, excuse me. So, for our first article for tonight, we have Metroid Prime 4 for the Nintendo Switch is being developed by Bandai Namco. This is by Oscar Deus of GameSpot. We have, earlier this week, we discovered that Bandai Namco is seemingly working on an unannounced first-person shooter exclusive for Nintendo Switch. Now it appears that FPS is in fact Metroid Prime 4. Eurogamer states, quote, multiple sources have confirmed that to the site that the exclusive game is indeed Metroid Prime 4. Eurogamer also says the game's lead developer is Bandai Namco Studios Singapore, a studio formed in 2013, in collaboration with Nintendo. GameSpot contacted Bandai regarding the report. The company simply stated it had no comment to make at this time. Metroid Prime 4 was announced at E3 last year, though no lead developer was revealed and no gameplay or trailer was shown. The only other details we know about the game is that it may not be released in 2018, and that series producer Kensuke Tanabe is overseeing the project. The original trilogy was developed by Retro, which most recently made Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for Wii U. During a Bandai Namco earnings briefing, the company talked about how it's adding more resources to Switch game development. President Mitsuaki Taguchi said, according to the Wall Street Journal, quote, it's a shame, but we didn't think the Switch would be accepted this fast, end quote. What do you think about this, Shawn? Did you play the original Metroid Primes?
Yeah.
Yeah, those games were fucking awesome. So, I have faith in, well, I don't know what else. Let's see what else Bandai Namco Singapore has made, if anything. Because they were made in 2013, so they were probably made just for the reason to make Metroid Prime. Oh, hey, they're hiring. Be a lead engineer. I just want the wiki. I don't care about any of this other stuff. Oh, hey, they're located in Singapore. Who would have thought? Yeah, I think they were solely created for this purpose to make this game back in 2013. So I don't see them doing anything else in general. So that's definitely super cool. And with it being on the Switch, which is a relatively strong machine, it'd be awesome to get back to a first-person Metroid Prime game. That's got me super fucking excited because the other ones were awesome. Now, the only thing I can hope is that when the game does come out, that they have because the soundtrack was fucking fantastic in the previous titles, and if they could even capture an ounce of the soundtrack that what it used to be. Because the soundtracks were practically haunting before, in the earlier installments. They were fantastic, and I would love
the 16-bit ones and the 8-bit ones. Yeah, the music's always been really good.
Yeah. All the Metroid's music has been awesome, and it's defined kind of that style of game, and I love those games, and I'm super excited to have another Prime game with us. Especially cool to see the first-person aspect of it, see how they do it, and now we can finally play it on a system that uses twin sticks, because in every other instance of it, it'd either be the Wii Motion remote or the GameCube, which didn't really have twin sticks. It was the lock-on. So
honestly, the Wii one looked better, but control-wise, I would definitely take the GameCube's controls, because the motion controls, you didn't have an option of using the non-motion, and that game was much harder to play with that bullshit motion stuff.
yeah.
But I don't think the Prime games are better than the side-scrolling ones. I don't want them to abandon the side-scrolling ones.
Oh, yeah.
I think Super Metroid is still a pinnacle.
Oh, yeah. Super Metroid is fucking fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I think, in all honesty, and I'm diehard Castlevania, but I think when it comes to the innovations of that design, I still think Super Metroid did more for it than what Symphony of the Night did. I just think Symphony of the Night polished it, perfected it better, added more, more enemies and more to do. But I think Super Metroid really is what brought that genre into the future in terms of that style, which is a little strange because I don't think a lot of people would say that. I think they would say Symphony of the Night. But I don't think Symphony of the Night added to the formula so much as they just perfected it. Because nothing that's come since has really built on any kind of improvements over what Symphony of the Night did,
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm excited to see what they do.
I would love to see the 3D one. Yeah, I think if they're going to do that, they need to release all of the previous Metroid games on the virtual market, and they need to release the original 2 Primes on the virtual market or on disc. What would be great is if they did a trilogy where they released the original 2 games included, packed in with that 3rd game. That would be fucking epic.
See what they're doing with fucking Bayonetta? Do that again with Metroid Prime. Problem solved. Even if it's like a special version of the game or something like that, where you spend an extra $15-$20 and you get all the previous Primes all like remade for the Switch, I'd spend that money. Deadass. Like instantly I'd buy that. Because I'd love to play them if they were all remade for like a twin stick control method. That'd be fucking amazing. And I'd love to play those games again. Even if they were just ported, they weren't even remastered. I'd love to play them again. So that
they were beautiful games.
Yeah, they were awesome. So
I thought for sure that they weren't going to return to the 3D format, which bothered me.
But I've heard a lot from different sources that the Prime games were very well received, and they did very well in sales too, at least over the course of their lifetime, maybe not initially, but just in general, that step that they took into the 3D or first-person perspective was well done. And those games, as you can tell, were very well made, and they were fun because they were able to capture the essence of Metroid in a 3D plane, which is really cool. So
what would be smart? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought.
No,
sorry.
Go ahead. What you saying?
I think it'd be really intelligent if they rewrote Other M, like either clearly cut it from canon.
I think it has been, hasn't it?
Because
I thought it was removed from canon. I don't know if
there's been any official statement. I didn't like Samus's behavior, but the gameplay wasn't terrible. Bitch. I mean, in the story, there was some really interesting concepts. I would like to see a very fleshed out Metroid world. I don't want to see them reboot it. I want to see them continue it. I mean, as a bounty hunter and in the world that Samus lives in, there's tons of dangers and things. And yes, I am in love with Ridley, and I'd like to see him return, even though he's been killed like a bajillion times. But I would like to see them release something that fully connects everything and explains everything for people that didn't get a chance to play all the different installments, because there's not a lot of people that had the money to be able to afford all the handheld devices the stuff came out on, all the consoles and all that kind of shit. It just wasn't there. So if they really value their fandom, and Nintendo is fairly good about this, I would like to see them release like a Historia thing for Metroid, or at least put a version of all of the games out so you can buy them all in the virtual store, put them on a card, and then you're able to play through them in chronological order and get all of the story, because there is a lot there. I mean, there's a hugely emotional moment between Metroid 2, which they recently remade, which I want to play, and a side-scroller, and then Super Metroid, that people who didn't play the handheld never got to understand. Like the last Metroid, the one you rescue a Metroid baby.
Yeah.
A fully developed Metroid baby, but it was a Metroid baby. And Metroids have life cycles.
Mm-hmm.
and each life cycle they molt and become a larger creature and a more deadly creature. And you have one that's at fetal level, like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't remember what the word for it is right now. It starts with an F, I
That's
think.
good
but
enough.
anyway, you rescue it, and it attaches to you as its mother.
Yeah.
And in Super Metroid, near the end, you fight it, and it nearly kills you. And then once it tastes you, it realizes who you are, because it hasn't seen you for a long time, because you dropped it off with scientists.
Yeah.
And they were experimenting with it to find a way to create perpetual energy through the Metroid physiology. And when Mother Brain raided the lab and killed everyone and took the Metroid baby to splice it and clone it or whatnot, it lived with her. But when it attacked you, it found you. And then at the very end, when you're fighting Mother Brain, it saves your life and dies. And there's like this is back when usually your emotional attachment to a game was done through text in a Final Fantasy game or something. And I remember characters dying in Final Fantasy where I felt it, but it was never quite as deep as like with the more 3D ones where you had facial expressions and things, like when Aeris died. But when that baby Metroid died, I was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I went like rage mode on Mother Brain. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like and it was full grown by that point, but that was kind of an interesting moment. I don't know. That was a seminal moment for me in my gaming history, so to speak. Was when the baby Metroid died, playing all the way through Super Metroid with no help. I didn't use any map guides. I didn't have any assistance. I had a lot of fun with that game.
Yeah, it was good.
So I would really like to see a return to the Metroid worlds. Anyway, so yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully another good reason to have a Switch as we come out, especially with like a Pokemon game coming and a possible chance to see a soft reboot to the Pokemon series, and hopefully like a huge improvement around the lines of Breath of the Wild to the. I mean, I didn't think Zelda needed an improvement in all honesty, but like Pokemon seeing a gigantic improvement from its typical style of gameplay. That'd be awesome to see something. I don't know what they do. I have faith in Nintendo, but I hope they don't just throw out another Pokemon game that's exactly the same, just with more Pokemon in it. I hope they kind of like do a soft reboot of the series with this new Switch title coming, especially with the power that they have. I think they have a lot of room to make something really cool. So we'll go on to the next article. We have Cyberpunk 2077 devs have been confirmed to have participation at E3 2018.
Hell yes.
This is Eddie Macick of GameSpot. Following rumors from last week, Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red. Oh, I'm so sorry. Goodness gracious. Has now all but confirmed that it will be attending E3 2018 in June. The Polish developer's director of PR and global communication confirmed the news to the GameSpot in a Koi segment. Quote, "Yes, we're on the list, but there is no additional comment on that from us," the representative said. Last week, it was discovered that the list of participating companies for E3 2018 included CD Projekt Red. This led some to believe that the studio might have plans to show off or discuss Cyberpunk 2077 in some manner at the big-time gaming show in Los Angeles. Given that it has been years since we've heard anything official about the game, people got understandably excited about this development. However, CD Projekt Red's name being on the list does not necessarily mean the studio will have any news to share on 2077 or any of its other games. It could be that they're attending E3 for the purposes of meeting with business partners or showing things behind closed doors outside of the public eye. So
that's unlikely, though. I mean, you wouldn't go to E3 to they could conduct business around it, but if they were going to be conducting business, anything severely important, it'd be done before that. I don't think it would be.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
we never know.
We've been waiting over 10 years for that fucking game. I mean, that trailer dropped ages ago, and I am a diehard Cyberpunk fan. So I fucking jizzed in my pants, and then nothing for all this fucking time. I do
got
like
dry jizz in my pants. God damn it!
People. Yeah, they didn't cave in to those people when those people tried to hold the information hostage. They're like, "Fuck it, you want to release it? Release it. We're still going to finish the game."
I thought the trailer that they originally like showed off was super badass, with like the bullets hitting the woman and like breaking on her and stuff like that. That shit was so cool.
I also like it's very unclear, and I've watched it so many times trying to figure out if she's the protagonist of the scene,
Yeah.
or if she's a legit criminal. And
The trailer
it's not clear.
dropped 5 years ago, January 2013. That's how long it's been.
Wait, 5? Yeah, it feels like 10.
Yeah, so it definitely feels like 10 though. Yeah, so super pumped to see what Project Red can present to us, and especially coming off of Witcher 3, which is a fantastic game. Super pumped to see what they have in store for us, and again, especially set in a sci-fi era, cyberpunk style. I would love to see a Witcher game that follows those guidelines for storytelling and interesting situations that are presented only in sci-fi. So super pumped to see what they have for us. It sounds so awesome, and there's so much excitement. Again, I'm trying to hold down the hype because hype can be a huge killer. But definitely pumped to see what happens, and E3 is going to definitely be interesting this year, especially with our next article that we're going to talk about right now. We have a new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer that shows off Monster Inc. World, and new gameplay details revealed. This is by Chris Pereira of GameSpot. We have, as expected, at Disney's D23 event taking place in Tokyo, Japan this weekend, more of Kingdom Hearts 3. Square Enix's upcoming crossover RPG has been revealed. During a special event held in Disneyland, the publisher showed a new trailer which confirmed that there will be a new Monsters Inc. world in the game. Trailer, blah, blah, blah. Of course, if anyone cares, they've already seen the trailer. The trailer, I don't care about the trailer.
I've tried not to watch any of the media on it. I want to be surprised.
During the event, Square Enix revealed some further details about the game, including the gummy ship segments will return. This time, however, it has been split into phases. According to Square Enix, everyone in Osaka studio is working on Kingdom Hearts 3, with 100 people from its Tokyo studio also involved. Development is split into 3 sections, early, middle, and late, and there's around 3 worlds per section. But Square Enix noted that this doesn't mean that there's 9 worlds in total. The early phase worlds are 90% complete, while middle section worlds are around 60%. It doesn't confirm the stage end section is, blah, blah, blah. So there's definitely huge possibility, because it says at the end of the trailer, coming 2018. So this game, according to them, if it does not get delayed, will be here by 2018. So it'd be super awesome to see like a definitive date at E3 and seeing more of the gameplay. Game looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks super fun to play, especially with some of the newer worlds. There's a Tangled world, Big Hero 6 world. Again, we have our Monsters Inc. world, and just super excited to see what is next in store for Sora. The organization is back and all this other shit. But I'm super pumped.
Excellent.
All the music, just being there, it's like being a kid again. And this game cannot come out any sooner, especially like now where there's not really a lot going on. So we don't know when this might be releasing. So, but this is going to be huge. I'm so fucking giddy. I can't wait to see what's in store for us with this game. So again, I'm trying to push through these because we still have to talk about our main topic. So we have Fortnite is adding a 60 FPS PS4 and Xbox One mode. Developer talks server issues. The optional 60 FPS mode will roll out on consoles later this month. This is Kevin Knezovic of GameSpot. So Fortnite's free-to-play Battle Royale mode has surged in popularity over the past few weeks, recently hitting a new record of 3.4 million concurrent users. Unfortunately, the influx of players has also resulted in a number of server issues across PS4, Xbox One, and PC, which developer Eric has addressed in the new post on its website. Quote, "We are not able to stay ahead of our continued growth, and multiple of our backend services have been struggling under load the last several weeks. We also shipped version 2.3.0 with significant bugs. We don't consider either acceptable," Eric wrote. As a result, the developer says it has changed its release plans and processes to help improve quality of client builds. Among the areas Epic looks to improve are load times, and the developer says that it is testing and bug-fixing improvements that will deliver better level streaming with less hitches. So blah, blah, blah. They're adding a 60 FPS mode for PS4 and Xbox One later this month. Quote, "The 60 FPS mode is tuned for each console to maximize frame rate while minimizing loss of visual quality," Epic says. The studio has also added West Coast servers that will add Brazilian Xbox servers in order to further improve games connection. So this is interesting because in at least with console gaming, it's always been about maximizing, we talked about before, maximizing graphics. Like, how pretty can we make this game be? And let's just hope to God that we can get it to stay a stable 30. But with the things that we've been seeing from Fortnite and the Epic devs, they're always been like pushing the boundary. They're trying to push crossplay. Now they're pushing like settings that you can kind of fuck around with, display settings to either choose to maximize FPS. And again, we saw this a little bit with the PlayStation Pro, with like Tomb Raider and stuff like that they gave you options. I want to maximize resolution, or I want to maximize a stable 60 FPS frame rate. And we've been seeing those changes. And with Fortnite being so big as it is and pushing out these modes, we might see other developers take stride, especially if it becomes very a huge positive benefit for them. Because as we know, in all forms of art and media, nothing's developed in a vacuum. Everything is pulling inspiration from each other. And that's which will also lead into our main topic a little bit later with that. But every time something does well, and you see it all the time, it other people mimic it in one way or another. And even Fortnite itself can be said to be a mimic of PUBG in a lot of areas, from HUD to it being a battle royale game. Although PUBG is not free of that criticism either, because they are obviously another form of like H1Z1, but then H1Z1 copied DayZ. But again, I don't like to say the word copy, even though I just did. I'd rather like to say inspiration or things like that, because none of these are like exactly the same thing. Although Fortnite's HUD looks really similar to fucking PUBG, but still. Definitely an interesting thing. I want to see if these changes that the Fortnite devs are pushing out, if other companies will take stride and kind of notice, oh, hey, this is what people kind of want. And maybe we'll start to see more of these modes get introduced into games in the future if their popularity is high enough. So Fortnite's doing crazy. Again, it's a free-to-play game that's Battle Royale. What else can you ask for? It looks nice, and you can play it with a bunch of friends, and there's literally no barrier to entry because it's on everything. So the fact that they're doing this, we might see some changes coming forward. But definitely a fun game. Super awesome to see that it's doing well. I'm sure it's making Epic a shitload of money, because every time I see a new skin come out, every time I hop in the game, there's like 10 to 15 people that have like this $10 skin or whatever it costs, just because, hey, I didn't buy the game, so I could spend a little bit of money on it. So definitely interesting to see what happens moving forward. We have one more article real quick, which is another thing talking about microtransactions. So Activision recently released its financial earnings report, or a portion of it. And we have a article here from Eddie Makic of GameSpot. Activision Blizzard has made $4 billion, count it, $1 billion on microtransactions in the last year. These microtransactions include in-app purchases for mobile games, which are booming at Activision Blizzard. So we have... Okay, microtransactions are big business at Activision Blizzard, and the company said today in an earnings report that revenue from in-game net bookings, which include things like DLC sales, loot boxes, and in-app purchases on mobile games, has reached $4 billion for 2017. And during the fourth quarter alone, Activision Blizzard brought in over $1 billion for in-game net bookings. These figures represent quarterly and annual records for Activision Blizzard. Importantly, as analyst Daniel Ahmed explained on Twitter, around $2 billion of Activision Blizzard's annual revenue from in-game net bookings came from the company's mobile subsidiary, King, which operates Candy Crush. The other $2 billion came from Activision Blizzard's console and PC efforts. Call of Duty World War II offers microtransactions in the form of Call of Duty points, which can be spent to unlock loot boxes, blah, blah, blah. Overwatch players can spend money on loot boxes that contain skins. WoW has a significant in-game economy as well, where players can purchase things like mounts and pets. Additionally, blah, blah, blah. Where am I? Activision Blizzard is not the only publisher that makes a lot of money from microtransactions. EA, which found itself in hot water regarding Battlefront 2, reported $787 million in what it calls live services for the latest quarter. Obviously, things like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead also make mad money on things like microtransactions. So, as we've seen, in-game purchases, shit like that's not going anywhere, especially with the amount of money that it makes now. The way it's now, I have nothing against microtransactions as long as they're implemented properly and they don't have a huge impact on gameplay as a whole. I think it's fine if you want to further support a company that gave you a game that you enjoy a lot, especially sometimes when the games are free. But this is definitely interesting. And it kind of baffled me that out of this $4 billion, $2 billion on Candy Crush alone. I can't imagine. That is insane. That like it just baffles me. Like what do you even spend money on in Candy Crush? What do you buy?
You buy rounds to play because if you have a certain number of losses, you're done for the day.
Is that it?
So you can buy assisting things that give you more plays. You can buy things that help you win rounds, like buffs and stupid shit. It's awful.
I'm searching it. Let's see if I can find a definite. Oh, wow. Look at the first article. Holy shit. I just spent $236 on Candy Crush. Help. Oh, yeah, Lord have mercy.
One person spent a lot more than that.
I mean, again, I am not free of criticism in this area because on League of Legends alone, I've spent $1,300 in that game, and all of it is on cosmetics options for characters. So I'm not in clear water with that. And again, I have nothing wrong with microtransactions, but like, it's Candy Crush, guys. I understand if you.
It plays into the psychological feedbacks and needs and shit. You should watch. There's 2 videos that Game Theory did that explains how all that shit works, but our need for payoff and how we get positive reinforcement from playing games and shit like that. It's all in there.
We talked about
Candy Crush finds a way to trigger all that shit.
Yeah, me and Sam talked about it a bit back on when we talked about, I think it was the second video or the second video we talked about loot boxes and that like psychological effect of technically gambling and the idea of the possibility of rolling something of value and how that affects the dopamines in your brain and stuff like that. I understand where it's coming from, and it's just crazy for like something like as simple as a puzzle game that you play on your phone or Facebook for them to pull $2 billion on that singular game compared to like things like Overwatch, which is again really big, but it just kind of puts things into perspective. But again, just crazy. But so that was the news, the happenings over the last week. We're going to move into our main topic real quick so we can give it some time. We're going to talk a little bit about, again, speaking of this whole Battle Royale thing that's been going on over the last year or so, maybe a little bit longer. With what's going on, kind of. So we've heard recently with Red Dead Redemption 2 finally getting a release date, there's been some leaks to Red Dead's multiplayer aspects. And let me bring that up. Let me bring up the leaks real quick. I should have had this already. I'm sure if you guys have been following Red Dead, you have an idea of some of these leaks, basically. One of the major ones being the fact that Red Dead Redemption 2 might have a Royale mode, a Battle Royale mode that follows the lines of PUBG or Fortnite or things like that. Which, again, it makes sense, I guess. Wild West kind of... I don't know how the hell they'd show you like dropping on the map. I guess they might just spawn you somewhere on the map and you just kind of do your thing. But I want to find out the exact thing. I don't want to just say random shit. Let's see. Oh, we have an article from Forbes. Here we go. So Red Dead Redemption 2 leak reveals Battle Royale in first-person modes. So we have, real quick, this is by Eric Kane of Forbes. A little bit of a change. So Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just one of the most highly anticipated games of 2018. It's one of the biggest games of the current generation. I don't know. Trusted Reviews says they've received a leaked information in August of 2017, decided not to share any of it because it couldn't verify its veracity. I don't know what that means. However, with the release of new screenshots that line up with some of what the website was given at the time, they decided that the leak is legitimate. So here's some of the highlights, basically. So there's a form of Battle Royale mode coming to the game. The group estimates that around 30 games will either add this mode or release featuring this mode in 2018 thanks to the popularity of PUBG and Fortnite. Rockstar's formula is pretty perfect for this kind of mode. Other multiplayer modes in the leak were a Revive and Survive and Money Grab modes. The former includes battling against another team with a limited window to revive fallen teammates, and the latter is all about battling another team while each team tries to grab as many money bags from a central location as possible. There'll also be a first-person mode to launch with both the campaign and multiplayer. This isn't anything new. The apartment system will return from GTA Online, but instead of apartments, players will be able to have tents, which they can upgrade. Online sounds a lot like GTA Online with regular events and activities, and there will be a companion app released alongside, and it will include social elements like a poker minigame. So,
is it gonna be play to win like fucking GTA 3 was? Like the one, I thought about this long and hard, and I appreciated the fact that GTA 3 did all this online content drops for free. But then I thought about it.
Right?
Yeah, 5. Sorry, 5.
I was gonna say
5.
You confused the shit out of me.
Yeah, but then I thought about it long and hard, and they make it's possible to do it without spending money, but it's not like Warframe where you grind for an hour or two and you get what you want. You know, you earn it. Like with 3, if you're going to get
5.
the nice cars, 5, sorry, the nice cars and the big apartment and the huge garage, like it takes a year of hardcore fucking working to get that kind of stuff. Like they jack the prices through the roof so that they encourage people to buy the money. Like it's really fucking hard. Like I didn't realize how incredibly difficult it is to
definitely.
get one, much less more.
I'd say
so. They've created a pay-to-win environment.
Yeah, with
and they do that with Red Dead, which you're almost guaranteed they will.
Yeah, hell yeah, they're gonna have microtransactions in Red Dead's Online. I can't see it being any other way. And the thing that's interesting is, as we've seen, the thing that with Red Dead's Online, and we've talked about it before, is that it's not as easy to create an environment for online in Red Dead as it is in GTA. In GTA, you can release a new car, and it's super expensive, makes sense, and you have it. It's just in the game, and people can work to buy it. Run on that treadmill, keep grinding, farming either certain missions that are really helpful, or just doing raids or something like, or the heist or something like that. And yeah, you can farm stuff that way. Or you can obviously drop the money and get stuff. But like when I picked up GTA for PC and my sole focus was just being in an apartment and grinding it out, it took me about 20 hours to get that apartment around that time, 15, 20 hours to get that apartment. Now I could have been doing it incorrectly or stuff like that, but all I was doing was missions, trying to get into heists and helping people do their heists because you get a decent amount of money for first time completion. And it does get crazy. Like some of these things are mad expensive. Like a couple $1 million can take you a long time, especially, okay, so you have a heist. Now there's probably better ways to do this, like we stated before. But if I were to do the best heist or the one that gives you like the most amount of money, it would be somewhere between $250,000 and $350,000. And these heists take anywhere from, depending on how good you're going, from 1 to 3 hours just to get them all set up and done. It takes you a long time just to accrue $1 million. And you have cars coming out that are $3 to $4 to $5 million. I understand exactly what you're saying. It's just easier to drop the money, spend $40, get a couple $1 million, and then you have the car that you want or something that you want. Especially when a lot of people, especially like a kid, he's given a game and his birthday rolls around, but all he wants to play is GTA. Just give me like money for a shark card. Blah blah blah.
That's the point, man. Warframe gives you free content, free updates. Everything in the game can be bought for free and obtained for free. And if you want, you can buy things a la carte.
Yeah.
You know, and even when you buy those things a la carte, they're not outrageously priced. And if you really want to support the game, they have these like $80 packs where they give you a bunch of shit, but they let you know this is for supporting the game. That's why this purchase is here. That's why it costs what it does. You can easily get this Prime other ways, But if you would like to have first access to it and you want to support the game, then we're gonna, this is it's essentially you're donating to the expansion of the game, and they give you this stuff for it. There's 2 packs that they do that with. Everything else, you can buy the money and buy stuff a la carte if you want, or you can earn it. But earning it doesn't take you. It takes 1/10 of the time it does for GTA 3, and it's not
5.
like they have. Sorry, whatever, 5. I feel like I'm in a Monty Python episode. It doesn't take nearly as long, and it's not like they had to work for the assets. All that stuff is already in the game engine. All the textures, everything, that's all in there. So it's a little ludicrous to me that, it's another one of those things that's contributing to toxicity in the gaming community when it comes to microtransactions. Like, it's microtransactions done wrong, and I know as a hardcore supporter of it for a long time, but the more I've thought of Warframe as being the optimal model for how that kind of stuff is handled, it's almost perfect the way they do it in Warframe, and they don't bother doing that. Like Rockstar has not hidden their greed, so to speak, with this, and that has really disappointed me when I realized that, because I was looking at it from a total wrong angle when I was supporting them before. Like, it is not the right way to do things. Like, they have designed that game where in order to get ahead, even to get some nice things, you either are grinding for a ridiculous Star Wars level amount of time, or you're buying a shark card, and the shark cards are by no means cheap. And the cash the cash that you spend on the shark card versus the money that you get ratio is horrendous.
Yeah, I think it's like $1 million. Like, you get, I think, let's look it up. I keep forgetting.
Because one guy did the science, and you are not getting what you're paying for.
Oh fuck, this is not here. Rockstar. I want their prices. So you're giving me other shit.
Yeah, but
if I want, okay, so say if I want 8 million GTA dollars, that's $100 for 8 million GTA dollars.
That's like maybe 1 or 2 exotic cars if you're lucky.
You could probably get a couple. I mean, if you're trying to get like the military shit, then you'd probably get like 2 maybe. If you want $1.25 million, that's $20. So a third of the price of the game for about, again, I think if you're doing all the heist for the first time, you could probably get that in about 15 to 20 hours if you're like fucking going at it and your main focus is farming. So yeah, again, it gets crazy. And again, a lot of people defend it with like, you can just grind it. And a lot of kids or people that don't have like a lot of responsibilities have that a bit availability. They can just grind it. They can play games 8 hours a day and get it. But for people that it targets the people that don't have the time. It's like, I want these nice things, but there's no way in hell I'm going to get them without devoting a couple months to this game because I just don't have the time. So I have money. I'm just going to drop some money, get a couple $1 million, and then I can enjoy these things.
You should be able to experience everything a game has to offer in a timely manner and in a couple hours a day maximum. And like, you can do that in MMOs. You can do that in fucking Warframe. You can devote as little or as much time as you want, and it's still not going to take you 100 years to get what you're looking for. It's not going to take you months of gameplay or an entire Saturday, to fucking accomplish something like that. And even if it was just one day, I could fucking handle that shit. I've spent all day since I got up, 10 or 11, playing Final Fantasy 14. I've been enjoying every minute of it, doing constant different things. But that's a monthly subscription. I get everything in this game at high quality content. They're constantly supporting it, and I'm paying for what I get.
All right, real quick, because
you're not getting that with GTA. You're just not.
All right, we're off topic here. Let's actually.
Yeah.
So one of the big things is, again, we talked about Battle Royale. And we're seeing it kind of move its way because it's so popular, because it's done so well in other areas. People are adopting it. And again, we said before that no media is created in a vacuum. Inspiration is often pulled from other sources. It happens all the time. You see it in a lot of different areas of media. It just happens. It's something that you can't really avoid, and it's completely understandable. And for the most part, with the laws that we have set in place, it's protected. As long as it's not a complete 100% carbon copy, you're fine. There's nothing that can stop you from doing something like that and trying to get a portion of that market and that money that's available out there by essentially kind of, with quotes, copying this idea. So now we're starting to see this kind of infect other areas in things like, you even saw it, they introduced a mode like it in GTA 5. Again, all their modes have every mode we see has a little spin of it. We talked about earlier with the hunt, they put their little spin on the Battle Royale idea. Fortnite put their little spin. PUBG put their little spin. And everyone kind of just flocks to this because it's new and it's exciting. Again, relatively new. And it's interesting because we've seen stuff like this before in other areas. So I'm trying to think, because you said it earlier, but what is something else that we've seen in games that is like that has been mass adopted by like other companies? And I'm trying to think.
Pong.
Pong?
Oh yeah, Pong was the first.
To do
I'm
what?
sure they did it with board games too. Well, like one guy invents Pong, and then 50,000 Pong consoles come out.
Okay.
You know, you had Mario clones, you had fucking Candy Crush clones. But cloning is by far not a new thing to happen.
I'm talking about more recently. I think one thing that you can kind of see it with is loot boxes. In a way, loot boxes started. I don't even know where loot boxes started, but they've become
baseball cards.
Oh yeah, you can consider that like trading cards, where the OG loot boxes. But in gaming, I think probably the earlier adopters of that were probably like the fantasy sports kind of games, which still make mad money on fucking microtransactions. But they're effectively virtual trading cards games. And then those kind of moved into like games, or giving you, I say some of the worst offenders would be things like CSGO, because they're awful with their loot boxes. And who's like a really we saw it recently, Battlefront 2 being completely developed around microtransaction progression, which sucks.
Overwatch.
And again, we've shouted on Overwatch multiple times in the past because of how exploitative there's just loot boxes are.
Yeah.
And everyone likes to praise Blizzard because they did it right, because it's all cosmetic, even though other companies,
that part is right.
They've been doing
that part is okay.
Yeah. And again, it's just the fact that it's like, oh, Blizzard can do nothing wrong. But I think it is exploitative the way it is. And the fact that every time we get an update,
not telling you what your chances are of being able to get what, the things that you're looking for,
or even just removing the option to do, like you said, a la carte. Like the thing I like with League of Legends, and again I go back to this, is they introduced a loot box system, right? But they already had an a la carte system. If you want a skin, you buy it. So now all you have, they never removed the a la carte system. If you want a skin, you go in and buy it. But when they introduce loot boxes, now it's something that you can work for that just gives you a chance to get free skins that you didn't have the option to before. Before it was just you had to buy everything. If you wanted a skin, you spent the money and you got it. That's how it worked. And I like that system a lot. It originally starts a la carte, but now we slide in loot boxes, something that you can work for in-game that just takes time, and it gives you an avenue to acquire this content that originally had to be paid for. I think that's a really cool system, that the way that they've done it. And the thing, again, with Overwatch that we have issues with the loot boxes is, again, no idea chances. Every time a new update comes out, they introduce 4 to 5 skins that are cool and then flood loot boxes with all this garbage that can pop instead of the skin, such as sprays, emotes, all this other stuff that people might not, definitely don't want as much as the skins, but they just populate the pool with garbage. And you're technically seeing it because they show you, but it's almost done in like a secretive way, kind of. Oh, because all the focus is on the skins. When they show off things, it's always the skins. Look at all these badass new legendary skins coming out. Yeah. they're in a pool with another 150, 200 sprays. Fucking Godspeed. And you have to deal with that. So the chances are low. And people just flock to them, buy 40, 50 boxes at a time in an effort to get a couple skins. And again, you could work towards it. They're kind of lenient with the amount that you get with loot boxes in general. So they're not awful. I'm not calling them Satan or the worst. I'm just saying they're not gods to be praised. And I think if they do introduce an a la carte system, I'd like that. I think that'd be really cool. Make the skins, even if they make them, I don't know how they would price them. They make the skin like $5-10. I think 10 is okay. I don't know. They'd have to.
Depends a bit much.
I think. Well, when I pay like $20 for a League of Legends skin, although those skins completely revitalize the look of the character, if they put more effort into making the skins complete redos of because like a lot of the time, technically it's just a reskin. The abilities look the same for the most part. Sometimes you get a little bit of a visual flair. But for the most part,
occasionally an audio change, like with Lucio's outfit.
Yeah, stuff like that. But if
Overwatch has different grades of skins. They've got the common ones and then the rare ones, and
so
then
does
the
League of
exotic
Legends.
ones.
But yeah, and then you can just kind of. But if they have an a la carte system, I like that idea. You have a system where you can still support them, still get exactly what you want, and then on top of that, you have an avenue to get stuff for free, and I think that's completely fine. And then that is, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's a really cool way to set up microtransactions and still be relatively profitable because you're technically not giving out too much for free. And if people want something, they don't get mad with you because I spent $40 on boxes and I'm going to get a single skin from the event. Holy shit. But I'm just going to go ahead and buy another 40 boxes because, okay, I play this game. And it's just weird. But again, back to the fucking thing. But I think loot boxes are something that we've seen kind of infect the market.
Like herpes.
Yeah, but I think with PUBG or this battle royale kind of thing that we're seeing go on right now, I think we'll see it for quite some time because as long as people enjoy it and we see the success, because not only is Red Dead just going to be successful because it's Rockstar, on top of that, they're going to have, they could say, boom, we got a battle royale mode, bitches. It gives more people incentive to pick up their game. On top of the fact that it's just another Red Dead Redemption, that alone is enough for people to pick it up. But that might influence some of the Fortnite players or some of the PUBG players that didn't originally intend to pick up Red Dead, which again is a small percentage, but still it's more. And it's like, hey, we have a mode that you love to play and it's here. And it's going to, I think, again, we're seeing it all over the place. The Hunt Showdown, and there's just interesting, everyone trying to grab at that pot and pull that money and try.
The stupid part is the rip-off stuff. Like, if you're gonna take somebody else's formula, by all means, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, again.
As a matter of fact, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, that's how games are innovated a lot of times, is by taking someone's idea and building on it. But what I don't like is what Fortnite did, which was copy the exact formula down to the tiniest letter. It's still legal because you're not copying someone else's code. But you didn't do anything. Anything new. If anything, it's a downgrade. Now, I'm not a PUBG fan by any means, and I have had a little bit of fun with Fortnite's Battle Royale mode. But, it's nowhere near as precise. It's much more difficult to aim in that game than it is on PUBG, and that not just because one's computer and the other's not on a lot of consoles, but it's a lot more difficult to aim. Now, it incorporates the building mechanic of the game, but the only thing you normally do with that is throw up a wall. Most people don't get enough materials to build any kind of a viable structure.
I mean, so a lot of what I've seen people do is, again, you're not building fucking forts to fight people off in, but a lot of times I've seen people that are in the last, they'll build like towers kind of, and they'll fight that way. Or a lot of it is really quickly, you build 4 walls and then the stairs going up and you have a elevation on whoever you're fighting. So it's easier to peek them because you're a smaller target aiming down at a bigger one and you have that elevation benefit. I think,
Of course, the first thing they see is your head, so that's a downside.
well, yeah, but it's much smaller than a body, especially with the way that Fortnite is aiming, where it's just kind of like a cone of RNG in front of you, because you're not like actually in first person. You just the reticle gets smaller, and you're just hoping the bullets fly straight enough to hit them in the head. Unless you're using like a sniper or something, but I think that although I do feel like they did pull a lot of inspiration, I guess I could say, from PUBG compared to a little and built upon it. I still think that the building mechanic is interesting because it adds a lot, and I think it's basically Fortnite is a cartoony version of PUBG. That's all it is. PUBG focuses on realism for the most part, and then Fortnite is more of a cartoony, smaller map, laid back build, and just do like crazy shit. Like people. Is it like things that people have found, like, oh, I can shoot an RPG as my friend jumps and he'll land on the RPG and you'll like fly on the RPG and you could like transport people that way, or just silly shit like that. Putting like a bounce pad so you can build it on a tower and jump over to where someone is and get behind them that way, or just like it's more of an arcadey feel than PUBG where you're laying in a bush for 30 minutes and then you get headshot out of nowhere from some dude 500 meters away. Stuff like that you couldn't see because he was like 2 pixels wide, and he manages to see you in a bush. I think I'm not a huge fan of the battle royale style, only because I like the idea that the tension that it builds, knowing that people can come from almost anywhere and you have to be on alert at all times. But I'm not a huge fan of just sandbox shooters in general, because I'm not a fan of the randomness that comes with that. Because there's a lot of ways you can die in bullshit methods. Like, you can run by someone that you didn't notice, or there's someone that just happened to be walking across the field as you were doing something, and it's just a lot of it comes down to, on top of the fact that you're looting, so you're hoping for good weapons, you also have to deal with the fact that there's 100 other people running around that can be coming at you from any angle. And I think that makes that interesting as well. But it's not my cup of tea, but I understand why it's popular. And I think that like I said, we're going to continue to see this spread as long as it stays popular. And I don't really know. We kind of just pulled this topic out of our ass. I could literally name the video something about Shawn's story time, and it could be the main topic as well. But I think this is definitely something to watch. This little PUBG virus or Battle Royale virus that moves around, and continue to see what it does. Because PUBG did a good job of perfecting the formula, and then now Fortnite is so popular because it's free, and it's easy to play, and it's fun, and for the most part, it's a stylized, complete package for the most part. So it's interesting to see the next competitor come and see how they revolutionize it further, and to see if their efforts were in vain or not, and to see if they're able to pull, everyone grabbing for that big source of money that is the gaming market, trying to see who comes up with the next cool idea to pull more people to revolutionize this idea. So, but like we said, no media is made within a vacuum. Inspiration is always pulled, and I'm completely fine with all these technically copies that we're seeing come up and innovations that come about in this market. I don't think the Red Dead, I don't know why I don't feel like a Red Dead style mode would be fun, because I don't like GTA's fighting style, or the way that you shoot in GTA, being like third person, and you just kind of feel slightly clunky. I don't know how well that would go in a mode where you have to be as close to 1-to-1 as possible. And especially like playing GTA before, it's always like a clusterfuck. You're like, I thought I shot that dude, but he did like a fucking 360 backflip in the time that my body was loading on his screen. It was able to kill me, all because like the game is trying to keep up with so many people moving around at the same time. So I don't know how well this will work. They'd really have to put a lot of time into making this system work well in order for it to be popular. And I just don't know how they'll do it. Again, it's Rockstar. They have the manpower and the talent to do it. So we'll just have to see. What do you think, real quick, Shawn? One thing I thought was interesting is the apartment system now. They're tents. And from what I've heard from the tents, it seems like the land is limited that you can build on this. So we've seen that in like Final Fantasy, right? Where there's only a limited amount of lots, and it kind of builds a market for land, basically. So, because there's only so many houses you can have. So I wonder what this will turn into if you limit like a resource to players, especially for a really big game, to see how this tent system will work out. I think it's going to be interesting how if they'll keep it like that where it's limited, or if they'll eventually change it. Because in GTA 5, everything was instanced. So you'd go up to your apartment. 6 billion people can own that apartment, but at that point in time, when you walk up to it, it's yours. If you go inside of it, it's yours, and you can invite friends to it. But there's no differences to them. But this, it seems like you put a tent down, that's your fucking tent. And you can build it up or do whatever you want to it and slowly make it better with money or however they intend for you to upgrade stuff. And then if some joker puts his tent next to yours, his tent's there. He can never come back to it, but his tent's there. I mean, I don't know exactly how they're going to intend to do it, but I wonder what that might bring about. It would be interesting to see if it like eerily shadows real life, where there's just like huge rows of tents slowly getting built up, almost like they're like colonizing the West or some shit like that. Or if it will just be a clusterfuck of tents spread all over the place and you couldn't even move because there's so many people that put down houses. So it sounds interesting, though.
I think the tents idea sounds... Well, what little information we have to go on sounds a little stupid to me. But I imagine they'll find a way to do it where it's visually attractive, I'm sure. Otherwise, people just won't take advantage of it. And I imagine there'll be a big microtransaction service built around it. But if they do it, they'd probably do it something along the lines of what you see with the Final Fantasy housing market, the 14 housing market. I don't know. Even I've seen large tents, and they can have some pretty sexy tent setups, but that's modern tents.
I don't think it's going to be a tent. I don't think it's going to be like like an Indian tent, and that's all you have. I think it's going to start as a tent, just to lay that you've claimed the land, and then it will upgrade into a building of some sort, and you can build it into like something that looks like a saloon or something.
That would have to be the way it works, to where you have like a city building up or something. That is the only thing that I can imagine would work. If they had like elevations or different areas, maybe one's next to a cave and one's next to a rapids or a river or a fucking something.
It'd be cool if you can...
It still doesn't sound appealing.
No,
I mean, even in the Wild West, the largest tents they had were the military tents. And those things...
I think you're taking it too literally. I don't think it's literally just a tent. I think eventually you build it up into something. I can't imagine them just leaving it as a tent. That'd be stupid. But I think what would be cool is maybe if you can like get a bunch of friends together and kind of do like what you do in Final Fantasy. You sign like a treaty or a pact together, and you can like actually place and build up a legitimate town, like something you'd see in a Wild West thing, where everyone's house in that pact is all built together and you all upgrade it together and you actually like build up your own little town. I think that'd be really fucking cool if they did something like that. And then everyone in your friends group can have their own house in this town, and then you can kind of like edit it, and then people can come and visit your town and then like do whatever they want to do and just hang out. I think that'd be really cool, and that'd kind of border on the lines of an MMO. But I don't know what they plan on doing. Be interesting to see. In all honesty, I really don't have much hype for Red Dead Redemption 2. May sound like blasphemy. I thought the first one was okay, and it didn't like blow me away, but I enjoyed it. And I don't know. I don't even know if I'll pick it up on release, but it's so far away. I can't even say how I'll be feeling at that point. I might get it. I have times where I say I'm not going to ever play that game, and then I buy it the day it comes out because I didn't have anything else to do. So I have no clue. But definitely interesting to just watch this as it happens. See if they fully commit to this PUBG style mode and fully make it its own thing, or if it's just a copy of the basic formula. Drop everyone on a big map, they run around, kill each other, and then you get money if you win. Or if they fully commit to making it its own thing. We have no clue. We're only working on very small amounts of information right now. But again, it'll be interesting to watch. So
I think we're going to see a rebirth of the Tribes formula.
what's Tribes? Explain.
Back during the initial explosion of PC first-person shooters, and I'm talking about the three-dimensional ones, not like fucking
Like before.
Doom and shit like that, but like we're talking like after Quake.
Okay.
The first 3D shooter. We're talking about like that. When you saw there was a shitload of these ones that came out. There was like a Mercenaries one. I don't remember what it was called, and they were all. Occasionally they had a campaign. Almost always they had like a campaign. But there's a fair number of them that had started to come out that were all just competitive. Now they weren't competitive like what you would look at today's scene where people think themselves like OG gamers and shit, but they had this one that was squad based, and it was the only one of its kind, and it was complex. It was very complex because you had a sheet of commands that were keyboard commands and shit.
Yeah.
And you had 2 squads, a large map that had like hills and mountains, and I wouldn't say that the forests were anything you would actually walk through. It was mostly you could see as far as you could see. There wasn't a lot of like obstructions and things, but you had a large, fairly bare map where there were elevation changes.
Yeah.
And there were vehicles. There was a ship you could drop people off from. There were like bike type things, attack tank type things. You could fit 1 or 2 men on, if I recall. And you had jump packs. And then you would have squads of, I think, 6 or 8. Might have been larger. And you would formulate a strategy and you'd go out and take the opponent's base. And the other team was trying
like
to do
an RTS?
the same thing.
Was it really zoomed out, or was it straight up like third person?
No. It was a first person shooter.
Oh, first person shooter. Okay.
Yeah, but you played with a squad, so you had to communicate and kind of formulate strategies, figure out who was going in on vehicles, who was going in on foot, who was going in with jump pack, who was getting dropped in, so on and so forth. And then you had defenses, and they had different modes. I didn't play Tribes. I didn't get really deep into it. I watched it played a lot. I was offered to play, but I was intimidated by all the, by computer gaming as a whole back then. But, any first-person shooting, but there seemed to be a whole buttload of additional key commands and shit like that were just not what I was used to. I mean, when I finally did play a first-person shooter, we were playing, I think it was like this Mercenaries type one where you were playing like a Spec Ops type soldier, and it was the typical, here's a map and you can go into different rooms and find different weapons and you're death matching each other, that kind of thing. And I got pretty good at it, and that's when I realized that playing with a mouse and keyboard wasn't too bad, with the whole 4-letter keys and then use the mouse and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But Tribes was an interesting concept at the time, and it was ahead of its time, and they had Tribes and Tribes 2. And then that kind of fell off for a long time. But with things like Overwatch and stuff like that having such prevalence, it would be interesting to see that genre come back, where you've got 2 teams come back, and it can be as strategy based as you want it to be, with like coming up with an actual plan, or like how most of them work, where people just pour out and shoot stuff, and whoever ends up managing to take the other base would work. But if you actually had people with the same kind of competitive spirit that they're playing games now with, like League and shit like that, I think that genre could pick back up again, because I can't think of any right now team-based shooters where you've got a large arena with, geographic changes, where you can actually formulate, actual strategies, trap them in a canyon or so on and so forth.
I think, it doesn't fully focus it, but it's available to do. Planet Side is kind of like that, but on a much larger scale, because it's straight up just like, imagine Battlefield, but with a shitload more people. Instead of 64, like hundreds and thousands of people trying to take bases.
That's a bit too much.
Oh yeah, it's insane.
It's massive numbers.
And it's
like
funny
that.
because you have like full wars going on, and then complete moments of just silence walking around because it all depends on where the big amount of people on the server are actually hanging out and trying to do shit. But you definitely, that game's interesting because you definitely can't play it. Well, you can, but it's really difficult to play by yourself because you're like, I want to go take that base. No one follows you. You can't get shit done. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think that could be something. The thing that's difficult with a really large map is trying to make the gameplay always invest in investing. And if you're just spending your time, again, like PUBG, where it's a walking simulator for 15 minutes while you're trying to get to your location, that could turn off a lot of people. But I definitely see what you're saying. So that was episode 40, the Thought Patrol podcast. I was joined by Shawn. Shawn, before we head out, go ahead and give me that beautiful outro of yours.
Hugs and kisses and all your pink parts.
Yes. And before we go, guys, I shall leave you all with a thought. 3.9% of all women do not wear underwear.